All right, so let's get started. How did you guys like that case study?
That's awesome.
It was cool?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
You're totally gonna blow us though. Like I know it's gonna be something that we didn't expect. It's gonna
I don't know.
take increase, man.
I honestly don't know. I really don't. But, I was watching this show yesterday, and it was so funny, and it just gave me this brilliant idea. I got to show you a piece of this show. Why does it not connect? Okay, here we go. You guys watch The Good Place?
Yeah.
It's so funny. We watched them all. I'm almost there. So these guys had this great business idea, and it gave me inspiration for my spiritual thoughts. So we should talk about this. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot. Me and Pillboy have been cooking up something
Real special, and this time it's not fake, man. All right, Pillboy, tell them about our new product.
Sharks, how much do you spend on energy drinks and body spray in 1 week? $300? $1,000? What if I told you there was a product that combined these two things for one solution to all of life's problems and more? I give to you Double Trouble, the world's first energy drink / body spray.
So, do you spray it on yourself or do you drink it?
You both eat.
This is the one, Jason, that we're gonna be so rich. I'll finally be able to pay to have my calf implants move back up from my feet.
It's a lot tougher than we thought.
Tell me about it. Double Trouble sounds amazing. We should bid fast. The other sharks are gonna want in.
Holy cow, that's just hilarious. Okay, so that gave me some ideas. We're starting a new business, and what I'd love from you guys, like, we talked about radical transparency, right? I want you guys to just tell it straight to me, okay? Just tell it like it is. I don't want you to hold anything back from me this time. Is that cool? Yeah. Promise me, real feedback, all 100% honest. We good on this? Sure. Okay, great. Well, to kind of preface this new business idea that I dated a girl back when I was in college, and she was amazing. She had an eating disorder. Okay, so it was great for going out to dinner. We only had one meal we had to buy. It was perfect, you know. But it was hard. It's hard to love other people if you don't love yourself, right? Like it's hard to have that kind of like loving relationship. So, we eventually ended things, and I give you a new shirt. Eating disorders destroy relationships. Guys, this is gonna blow people out of the water. If you'll buy this shirt from me for $10, say I. Wait, did you? I thought I heard something over here. Did you say I? No. Okay. Seth, you raising your hand? No, come on, somebody's got to buy this shirt. Come on, somebody, give me some. I said honest feedback. Anyone? Yes.
The thing about this shirt is it shames. It just makes you feel really bad.
No, but it's going to help prevent eating disorders, guys. It's like going to be so good. It's not catchy. Yeah.
It doesn't like ring.
Doesn't ring for you.
Have a good abbreviation.
Adam?
Pretty much every word is negative. I mean, like eating disorder is negative. I mean, destroy, negative.
What if I don't? Relationships are negative, Adam? Oh, yeah, right. What if I use I wanted to go with the skinny font, but maybe I should use a bigger font. I don't know.
Maybe papyrus.
Papyrus might work, yes. So my question for you, and how much you guys hate me right now, is how is this any different from this? How is that any different? I came to class a year ago. I'm coming up from Arizona, and I'm walking down class, and I see somebody wearing this freaking shirt, and I look, and I'm like, what the heck? And then I see somebody else a week later wearing the same shirt, and I'm like, this is a thing here in Provo. This is a real thing. People wear this stuff. This is blowing my mind. Okay? I want to talk to you today about shame. Well, I want to talk to you about shame and the psychological and spiritual influences and aspects of shame. That's going to be our spiritual thought today. Let's analyze this a little bit more. So to start off, by the way, they have another shirt, and this is what it looks like. It says, "For the sake of love." And guys, I don't think that, by the way, I like the company. I think they're doing a good thing. I just think they're going about it a little wrong, and I don't know how to go about it better. So I'm not going to criticize them because I don't know a better way, but I just have a big problem with that first shirt. I don't think this is a very effective shirt, but it's a better message than the one before. So, there's that. So let's talk about this. You guys know Brene Brown? Anyone? Anyone want to tell me who Brene Brown is? Yes, Will.
She's a thought leader on loving yourself and embracing something.
Okay, give me some more. Somebody else. Yes, let's start. Will.
Daring greatly.
Yeah.
Like the importance of being vulnerable.
She's the vulnerable queen, right? She's got the largest number of TEDx views in the world. I think it's like number 2 in the world, but it's the largest for like anything relates to relationships, right? Okay, so she talks about relationships. She's a relationship sociologist, psychologist, you name it, that's her. Okay, that's who this girl is. She says 2 things. She says guilt is when I blame an action. Okay, so I am upset. I have a feeling of ugh because of an action that I did or that happened, right? Playing baseball. Who plays baseball? Slade, you're the baseball guy. You ever shoot a baseball into a window?
Oh, yeah.
You have?
Oh, yeah.
Do you feel guilty?
No, I hated that guy.
You're like that window? Is that what it was?
I did hit one window my grandma's and I felt really bad about that.
What'd you do after?
I told her.
You told her?
Yeah.
'Cause
She's
you-
an angel about it.
Oh, she's like, I can't even. I was wondering what that draft was from. Shame is I am a bad person. Notice how the inflection is on the person and not the action. Shame is I am a bad person. So we were talking about that shirt. You didn't like it because you're kind of shaming people. You're kind of telling them that because they have an eating disorder, they're a bad person. Right? Is that how we're going with that? So I got a question for you guys. Now, this is actually based off psychological studies. They say that shame and guilt are motivators and catalysts for 3 things. These 3 right here. Okay? So I want to play kind of like a little game with you guys. If you think that guilt does better than shame at changing the self, so who you are, say I. Okay? If you think shame does better than guilt, say I. Interesting. All right. If you think that guilt does better than shame at repairing the situation, say I. Adam's got a strong eye on that. If you think shame does better than guilt, say I. Interesting. If you think guilt does better than shame at distancing from oneself, now what that means is like separating from whatever the catalyst is, say I. Guilt over shame. Huh? Did I get like a halfway eye?
I think we need some clarification. Are we talking about distancing oneself from a bad situation? So this is a positive thing. Distancing yourself from all other humans.
Both. Okay, that's the thing about distancing. You're distancing yourself from whatever it is that makes you feel shame. Okay? If you think guilt is better than that, guilt is better than shame at distancing oneself from that feeling thingy, say I. If you think shame is better, say I. Okay, all right, we got something to work with. So it was almost unanimous. Everyone almost said change here, change here. These 2 are guilts, and this one's shame. And I'm here to tell you you're all wrong. You're all wrong. And that's interesting, isn't it? They did a study, and the study was, and they did a lot of studies, but one of the most prominent ones was they took a bunch of people to make a statistically significant sample size, and they said to them, hey, give us 5 minutes where you write a story about how you felt the emotion guilt and what was the story behind it. I broke my grandma's window, et cetera. And then they asked a bunch of questions. They said, on a scale of 1 to 10, so they can get empirical data, how did you change yourself? And they asked questions about changing yourself, about repairing the situation, and distancing oneself. And then they could do the same thing with a situation with shame where the person said, and they could look at them. And what they found, honestly, was that for number 1, shame is twice as effective as guilt for somebody to change the person. Why?
Do they change for the positive or the negative? Or is it
They
just
change.
They change so they don't feel ashamed anymore.
They change because they don't want to feel the shame anymore.
Shame hurts so bad.
It hurts so bad. It's painful, right? It's twice as effective as guilt. Think of a cheater. That cheater, he leaves the girlfriend's house. He feels so sad for his girlfriend, his real girlfriend, but he keeps on cheating. But as soon as he gets caught, oh, baby, I love you so much. I'm so sorry. I'll never do it again. You guys know the story, right? You've seen that. That's because he got caught. In fact, cheating, they say there's studies that show that cheaters that cheat on one person in a relationship are 7 times as likely as someone who has never cheated to cheat in the next relationship. You have a 300% higher chance of getting cheated on if you date someone that had cheated on the person prior. Yeah.
The once a cheater, always a cheater line is true.
The mantra holds true for the most part, yeah? 1 in 7, right? You got a 14% chance of it not holding true. So that's actual stats. So if changing oneself, shame is a lot better, okay? Repairing the situation. Hey, excuse me in the back. What are we doing? Yeah. Nope, not Dana. Yeah, what's your name? Sam. Sam, are you doing something for class? No. Are you taking notes? No. Okay, how about closing the laptop, please? Okay? That's the last time I say that. Next time you're out. Okay? Honestly, next time you're out. Okay, repairing the situation. So the second one is guilt or shame. In this case, you feel bad about your grandmother, you go tell your grandmother and you repair the situation. Guilt does a better job than shame. Only marginally, though. Not by a lot. Okay? Guilt does a little bit of a better job. So he goes and talks to his grandmother because the action itself is driving the change to help fix the situation. That's what repentance is about, right? Third situation, distancing oneself. Matt. This one actually is about a tie. Both of them kind of want to distance themselves. Shame still wins by a little bit. So shame is a very, very strong motivator in these situations. Any thoughts or comments?
That's crazy.
Yeah, pretty phenomenal, huh? Yes.
It's interesting because, like, over the last, I don't know, 20 years, we've kind of pushed away from shaming other people.
Yeah.
And so, in other words, as a society, I mean, it's been good for the most part,
Yeah.
right? But then are we also, because we're not using shame where it's wrong to use shame, are you therefore, like inhibiting their ability to change?
Ooh, that's an interesting thought.
Question.
Yes.
Like, can you shame someone in a positive way?
Also an interesting thought.
Absolutely.
Tell me, Adam, how?
Yeah, so like, I mean, in sales, we do it all the time, right? Just the very fact of having a leaderboard is shaming.
Okay, yeah, good point. And then motivates them, huh?
100%.
Competition, I guess.
Competition.
Yeah. I mean, that's what shaming is, right? I mean, the more you celebrate the winner when there's only one loser, the more you're pointing out the loser.
Okay, we're going to come back to this, but I want to show you guys something. What's going on here?
Well, he looks smiley, so maybe not.
He's like, I got a porn addiction, I just cheated on my girlfriend, and I just won a lot of money in the lottery.
But I won.
But I won a lot of money, so. No, so in this case, is there shame happening here? So let's say it's you come and confess to a bishop. Is there shame happening here? Who decided to have that shame? That's the key. On the leaderboard, they decided to work for the company. They're warning that. They're okay with that because they want to be part of that culture. Okay? That shame is different than when you walk down the street and you have a porn addiction and you see somebody wearing a shirt that says porn kills love. I didn't ask for that shame. I didn't ask for somebody to do that to me, and that hurts. You guys see the difference? I'm not warranting or soliciting for that shame. And neither should you be wearing something like that. That's my personal opinion. Okay, real quick, so we can kind of look at these emotion things. Okay, so guilt focuses on the action that was wrong. We talked about that with the baseball. The two responses to it, the two changes that happen, is you're going to apologize and make amends, right? So you're going to apologize and then fix whatever the situation is. That's a guilty situation, and that's beautiful in the terms of repentance, right? When you feel guilt, you want to change and you want to repent towards God. On the shame side, look at the difference. Shame is a dispositional focus, focuses on you as a person, right? That's where the core is. That's what makes it so painful and makes you want to change. The dispositional focus on not your behavior, but who you are. You feel less worth in this situation. The focus on the negative aspects of oneself, okay? So in that bishop situation, you're not just feeling shame, you're asking for that, but if you do talk about something in public, it solicits shame. Just the very act of talking to other people about something solicits shame, and that shame is 2 times as strong as a catalyst as guilt. That's why we have Alcohol Anonymous, right? If I can talk about it in the opening, I can create a shameful situation that I warrant, and that situation leads me to change much stronger than if I would just, keep that guilt inside of me. It is a strong catalyst. but we have to be careful about how we use it. The last thing, and this is super important about shame that we must understand. It's a distancing motivation aimed at either escaping blame or hiding from public view. The action of shame doesn't necessarily drive you to repair the situation. A lot of times, it pushes you to just get out of the situation. That's why this is what happens. And this happens in our culture a lot more than I care to admit. See, it doesn't work that they're simultaneous, right? When we experience shame, we want to change who we are, right? So we might think when we wear a shirt like that, hey, this is great, this is helping people change because, the 2X factor over guilt. But the reality of the situation is what happens is, first you distance yourself from the action, and then you change the behavior. So Matt's question earlier is a very poignant one. He asked, distance yourself from what? And that's the question everybody asks themselves when they get shamed. Normally, what do you think happens when people get shamed? What do they distance themselves from? What's the easier thing to distance themselves from? The people, the source of the shame. And so when that happens, the behavior that changes isn't they come back to God, they come back to church, they leave the church. They leave God and they leave the source of the strength and community that they had completely. That's the problem with shame. Yeah.
Don't you think that the Porn Kills Love shirt could also be educational, or putting the message out there for people who aren't already in
This is a good point.
situation? Go, hey, this is not something fun. And
Right.
It's a problem, and don't get yourself in there.
This is a good point. And I don't have the solution to this, so I don't know what the right thing is, but she raises this situation of, hey, I would like to raise awareness for a really bad cause, right? Porn kills love. That's the purpose of the message. But that person walking down the street who has a porn addiction and has tried everything on their own to get over it.
Contradicts Satan's message that porn's okay and it doesn't hurt anybody.
Good message, not disagreeing with that, but that person walking down the street who sees that shirt that says porn kills love, they don't think that person's raising awareness. They see that as an attack on them. They feel shame when they see that. That's the issue that this causes the problem with. Yes?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. As with any sales or promotion, it takes a lot of self and situational awareness. And I did a family life minor here, and when you've got a super majority of the population, even in a Mormon population, that struggles with that issue, might ask yourself if you're generating awareness. In my experience, everybody's already very aware, and then what?
Very true. Slade.
One quote by Gandhi I always really loved is, he says, "I'll never participate in an anti-war rally." He says, "But if you ever have a pro-peace rally, I'll be there."
I love that. That's really good. Gandhi also said, "An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, and the whole world will be blind and toothless." He didn't say that. Go ahead, Adam.
I guess I just kind of had a follow-up question.
Yeah.
They say the same thing in relationships. Like,
Yeah.
we as women, for example, we really struggle with criticizing, which is
Let's talk
shame,
about that,
right?
yeah.
Like, instead of being like, oh, I can't believe you didn't take the trash out, I really wanted you to, it's, oh, I can't believe you didn't take the trash out, you're such an idiot.
You're such a slob. You're so lazy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if shame is more effective and they're wanting now to like distance themselves from probably their
You,
spouse,
yes.
right? Or
Mhm.
because they're like, well, no, because instead of addressing the action, now it's like, well, you just personally attacked me. But if it's more effective and guilt is fed, like where, do you see what I'm saying? Like, how do you get that behavior to change? I mean, I'm not in a relationship, I don't hate my boyfriend or anything, but like, how do you get that relationship to change if shame is more effective?
Yeah. I'll come back to that.
Like the positive.
We'll come back to you, Adam. That's such a brilliant. That's actually where I wanted to segue into. So it's like perfect that you talked about this, guys. Within relationships, she's right. Have you guys ever heard of John Gottman? You guys know who he is? He is, for me, the leading relationship psychologist out there. Okay, I don't know if he's a psychologist. Let's call him a researcher. He's brilliant. And if you guys haven't spent any time learning about relationships, I think that's a mistake. You learn all this crap about chemistry and biology and Genghis Khan and Gandhi. Gandhi's actually worth it, but all these other, but the thing that brings you the most happiness in life is your relationships, right? That's what brings you the most happiness in life. And so if you're not spending time and like a big amount of time trying to improve those relationships, you're missing out on a ton of happiness in your life. Like, why would you learn chemistry and place all these other things more important than actually understanding and learning about relationships? John Gottman is the place to start, in my opinion. He is phenomenal. He wrote a book called 7 Principles for Making a Marriage Work. Diana, you've read that?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, no, I love it, and I've actually done a workshop on some of this stuff.
He's awesome.
Like the horse.
Yeah. So one of his horsemen, by the way, he was able to predict divorce with over 90% accuracy within a 15-minute window. People said, how? Exactly. People said that's impossible. It was a fluke. He got lucky. He did it 7 years in a row. Okay, this guy knows something. And he says, in his book, he tells you exactly how he does it, but there's 4 horsemen. And one of the horsemen, one of the things that causes, I think it's funny he uses horseman, which is an apocalyptic term. He's Jewish. He's like only Old Testament guy, but anyway. One of the things that he says is criticism is one of the horsemen, because criticism creates shame, and shame causes you to distance yourself from your partner. So instead of saying stuff like, hey, you're a slob, you're a bad person, you never do the dishes, you always leave the dishes, you have to bring it to a specific action. Hey, yesterday I was upset because these things happened. I would have liked it yesterday if this happened. So it's a specific situation. I don't know if that creates change or not. Some people just won't change. But you'll have a lot better of a relationship because of it, according to Gottman. Adam, you had something.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I mean, I think a simple answer to that question is if it's harder, because like when you're shamed, you have a choice. You can either change your action or you can distance yourself from the people, right?
Yep.
But there are cases where it's easier to change than it is to distance yourself from the people, right? And so, like for example, like in a relationship, like let's say that you hang out with a bunch of people who are really, really judgmental. And like if you were to like separate yourself from like your dating relationship or whatnot, that would cause a lot of other harm in your own relationship. Well, in that case, you might just change because like it's kind of like when you want to break up with someone, but you're so scared to because like you don't want to be a jerk. You know what I mean, or vice versa. Like you hesitate to break up with them even though you should. You see what I mean like that? Like or like divorce is so not okay in your family that like you're willing to put up with the shaming that happens within it, right? I think it happens a lot in our society where there are times when we're shamed and really we should act upon it. Like I think it goes both ways.
Yeah.
Is my point.
I love that, Adam.
And kind of going along with your point, like I think both are true and they both can walk together.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Okay, kind of want to segue a little bit here for the next part of this. We've talked about how shame affects our point. I want to see how sin affects us in the opposite side. So how does sin take us? So like we have this shame, we get into this mindset, people are saying these things about us. What do we do in this situation to get out of it? So we're going to talk about that for a second. You guys have all heard this quote. If you do good, you're blessed. If you do bad, you're cut off from my presence. 2 Nephi 4:4. You shall be cut off from my presence. I want to talk about what that actually means in terms of being actually cut off from the presence of God. So one second. To answer that question, I'd like to ask you, when we sin, when we fall into sin, what are we worthy of and what are we not worthy of?
Using the atonement, does that count like it's
Please, yes.
worthy to be able to use the atonement?
I love that answer. That's phenomenal. Yes. It's a great answer. Yes.
Worthy to take the sacrament.
If you sin. Interesting. Okay, unless your bishop says no, right?
I believe what I was taught was that you are worthy to take the sacrament unless you have plans to not change at all.
That's awesome, because the covenant that you make is willing to, right? Not that you will keep the commandments. I love that. Yeah.
I just say you're always worthy of His love.
His love, brother. Always worthy of the love. No matter how far you go, you can always feel God's love. Yes. We have some over here. Yeah.
Pray to experience God's love, like you said, and I like to agree with this too, about the sacrament especially.
What are you not worthy of?
I would say to officiate in the priesthood.
Okay, so doing priesthood ordinances. Love it.
The temple.
Going
Depending on what the sin was.
the blessings of the temple,
Yeah.
like assisting the temple and going to the temple. Yes.
Not worthy to enter God's presence at that time.
Okay, so maybe at that moment you need to change some things before going back into God's presence. Yeah. Hope you don't die in a car wreck. Yeah.
The blessings that come with whatever commandment you broke.
That's really good. Like that.
Constant
Let's talk about that. Slade, come back to it.
Actually going to argue that point. So it's not that you're not worthy of it, it's just that you're not in tune with it. You always have the blessing and gift of the Holy Ghost, but there's a difference between being worthy of it and being in tune with it.
Slade, how do you reconcile this? Cut off from my presence. You don't keep the commandments, you're going to not be able to have that revelation.
Absolutely. So the way that it's reconciled is that there's degrees. So it's not just like the second you sin, you're completely cut off. It's just like we're going to be more numb to the effects and the presence of the Spirit. So it's not that you're going to be losing it, it's you're going to maybe miss it. And that's more important.
This is the fundamental, I'll come to you guys, this is the fundamental argument here that I didn't understand when I was in college, is that you're not cut off from God's revelation. And that's what Slade's saying. You're not in tune to it, but you're not completely cut off from it. We'll go here and here.
Yeah, so I think the interesting thing here is, but in as much as you do not keep my commandments, I think that we often say, like, in as much as, like, either you are or you aren't. I think that in as much is a little bit more, like, what?
Kind of a range.
Yeah, it's a range.
Yeah.
It's like, so to the degree that you keep my commandments.
Yeah, I love that.
To the degree that you don't.
Yes.
You point, look at me.
Yeah, what's your name?
Tim.
Tim? I'll try to memorize that. All right, come on.
I think it goes back to, so I think the long-term effects especially go back to ourselves distancing with the feeling of shame.
Yeah.
Distancing ourselves
Good.
from the Spirit.
We decide to leave
And
God's
that's the big
presence.
mistake.
That's the shame connection. I love that.
Long-term mistakes of distancing ourselves.
I love that. We'll go here, last comment on this.
I will tell you, as a parent, you're never cut off from the love. I will always love my kids. The prodigal son, his father never stopped loving him. The thing I want you guys to maybe think about is it's not that you're cut off from his presence. I think it's more you've cut yourself off from his presence. And I was thinking about that slide where it shows worthy, not worthy. That line in the middle, that is repentance. Everyone looks at repentant. I mean, dealing with these guys in the jail, I will tell you, not 90%, not 99, 95, 100% of them, their shame leads them to drugs, alcohol. Every single person in prison is 100% shameful.
Preach that.
They feel
Yeah.
like crap, and they look at repentance as, well, that's a bad thing because I don't want to say anything. No one judges you going in for. If anything, what's funny is you feel like crap and worthless for saying it, but everyone else in that room's like, yeah, I felt that before. I can see that part of it. I can see this, and actually, it helps people grow from. Repentance is a great thing. It's never a bad thing.
I'm gonna keep on you for a second because you said so many amazing things, and we're gonna end it on this kind of like stretch. So we'll kind of segue through with this. Tell me your name one more time. Steven. Okay. I love like so many things you said. We're gonna cover a couple of them. Prodigal son. You guys know the story, right? Prodigal son. Guy goes off, leaves his home, was a rich dude, spends all his money living in the pits of pigs, right? You guys good with that? I don't want to focus on that. I want to focus on this thing right here. And when he came to himself. Okay, I want to focus on that for a second. The sin that you experience does something to distort your reality of who you are and what you're worth. Okay, I don't know why that is. I honestly don't. But sin distorts your reality. So when we talked about what you can feel and can't feel, you might not be able to feel revelation that tells you where to go in life and what, all this stuff, this guidance, but you can feel that desire to repent. That desire to repent is actually God giving you revelation. And to prove that to you, what did God say? In the Book of Mormon, the end of the Book of Mormon, what did the Lamanites, what did they say about the Lamanites that were so wicked? They were what? They were past feeling. They were past the point of being able to feel God's push for repentance. We call that godly sorrow. They were past feeling. Okay? Sin continues to distort reality so that we go past that. Steve, you made a phenomenal point on that, and I want to end on this. If you could just read this for me. Brene Brown, baby.
There was only one variable that separated the people who have a strong sense of love and belonging, people who really struggle for it, and that was the people who have a strong sense of love and belonging. ... Do what? What do they have? Any thoughts? It's okay if you're wrong.
believe they're worthy of belonging, and they believe they're worthy of love. Okay? When we sin, we distort our reality, and we stop to believe these things. And these are very powerful emotions that keep us tied to the strongest things that we have, right? I mean, talking about love and belonging, that is principal to who we are. So this all ties together. The shame causes us to move away. The sin causes us to distance ourselves. But the action to come back happens when we start to remember who we are and we start to believe that we're capable and full of that love and able to receive that love. I say that in the name of Jesus Christ, amen. Amen. All right, guys and girls. This is going to be a good class. Thank you guys for, that was a long one, huh? Thank you. Thanks, Slade. All right, guys. Business principles. Let's hear some discount stories, baby. I didn't see much discount stories in the chat. I would love for you guys to throw your stories in there. But what did you guys have? Anything? Yeah.
I had a quick question, sorry.
Go ahead.
So you said we could have an extra week on this if we didn't like.
Yeah, completely. That's totally fine. You have time. Like I understand that as a college student, you're not buying things all the time.
Okay.
I'm like addicted to Amazon, like a couple times a day probably. but that's not you, right? Like that's okay. So yes, you have time. Tim.
Let me tell you my story.
Tell me, Tim.
So my business partner and I, there's a conference. It's a pay-per-call conference called the Invoca Summit. It's in October in Santa Barbara, and we were planning on going to this. It's a really good conference. All our clients, potential clients, future clients, a lot of good opportunities there. So we're like, we got to go to this conference. We look it up. It's $995 for a ticket for each person, and we're like, oh dang it, that's a lot.
That's a lot of money.
And so anyway, we know the guys that are hosting it. We know this company Invoca. They're just like a pay-per-call platform.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm going to call this guy and just see what we can do. So I call this guy. I had met with him at a couple years ago at another conference, and we talked a couple times since. And I just, Noah, tell me about your conference. I want to hear who's going, who's speaking, blah, blah, blah. Just getting him to talk about his conference. And I'm like, dude, that sounds so sick. We got to come. We really need to come to this. But, dude, your pricing is crazy. Like, my partner and I, we just started this business. We're trying to save on all costs, trying to keep things really inexpensive for us, but we really want to come to this. Is there anything you can do for us? Any discounts you can give us?
Notice how he didn't give a price. That was good.
So
wait, one more thing. Your conference is really expensive. What do we call that? Anchoring. Yep. No, you're right. It's only down the bottom line, but it's an emotional anchor, right? It's super expensive, right? It's also part of something else. Starts with an A. Accusational audit. Keep going.
So yeah, I just say, are there any discounts you can give us? Anything you can do for us?
Yeah.
Help us make it out to your conference. And he was like, well, you've already missed the early sign up. And I was like, I know. Like, we're done. Like, we should have done that. I'm sorry. We forgot. Anything you do. He's like, well, I think we can give you, because there's like a group discount or whatever.
Yeah.
But there's only 2 of us going. You have to be a group of 3 or more. So he's like, well, we can give you 1 ticket off. We can give you, 1 free ticket. So I'm like, great. That saves us $1,000.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, that's awesome. Thanks so much. But I'm going to sound real. I just said to him, I said, I'm going to sound like the biggest idiot to you because that still isn't going to get done for us properly.
So what do we call that when he says that? I'm going to sound like the biggest idiot.
The accusational.
That's the accusational audit, right? And he's doing. He's auditing. He's laying down the label for whatever the worst emotion that guy could think of.
Okay. So anyway, I say that to him and said, like, look, we're going to try to make it work because that's really, really nice. But dude, honestly, we're going to sound dumb. We probably can't make it happen unless. What else can you do?
Yeah.
He's like, really? I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm sorry, but we really want to come. And he was like, and so he goes, okay. I'll talk. And it was like, this dude's my boy at this point. We've been talking for 30 minutes. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna talk to my boss for you, and I'll get back to you tomorrow. Please, dude, let me know. Next day he emails me, and he's just like, dude, I got you 2 free tickets.
All right. Making money already. Yeah. I love that. That's my boy right there. Nice job. Who else? Doesn't have to be that good. Diana.
Yeah, I was going to say, my story is not as great.
That's okay.
But I did get to embarrass my husband every time we went places. And I was like, okay, I'm going to ask for a discount. He said, no, I'm paying for this. This is my card. So I asked him. All right.
I got this.
Even if we didn't get one, it was like the Family Dollar. And I'm like, yeah, but I'll take a discount if you have.
That's awesome.
He's like, okay, which one? Like, oh, whoops.
Oh no.
So I was like, I don't know what you have. And he told me Instagram follower discount. So he's like, yeah, just ask for that every time you come. And then I was able to get, so I found a guy who DJs. I knew my husband's looking for a DJ, so I was like asking him his prices. And my husband's like, yeah, everybody charges that. That's like, it's too much. I think that's on my budget. So I'm like, okay, let's see what I can do. So I was just like, is there any type of deal that we could get if it's like an ongoing thing? And he's like, yeah, what if because it was $300 for like the 3 hours, but he would need him every week. And so he's like, yeah, what if I did $150 for you? So he just like cut his price in half. Just for asking.
All right.
So I got him a DJ.
Nice. Nice. Yes.
I stayed in San Francisco this weekend, and the place I stayed at had like deals with places in the area.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just have to show them your card, and they'll give you a discount or whatever. And I almost forgot to ask for one at the pizza place we went for dinner that night. And I was like, hey, can we get a discount? I mean, we're staying at this place. And she's like, oh yeah, no problem. I think it was like a
Cool.
20% discount or something like that.
Cool. Anyone use the name, the Brigham discount? Did you guys get anything out of that? Yeah, Adam?
Well, I had a fun one. So I was my wife wanted to go to Home Goods, I think it's
Yeah.
We need to fill up a wall with a massive mirror. It's wild, but that's apparently what we need to do. So we were there, and I'd forgotten one time before, and so the guy at the front counter was the kind of guy that he just didn't care about his job at all. And so I said, there's a little bit of nicks, like literally, how on the back of mirrors there's it looks nice on the front, but then there's always the cardboard paper.
Yeah.
On the back. So I had half a centimeter was slightly.
Yeah.
It's not damaged.
It's not a big deal, yeah.
And so I was like, what kind of discounts can we get for the damage? and he's like, oh yeah, no problem. And he's like, discount check. So he calls the manager over, and I'm like, oh shit, it's she's gonna be for real, So I'm literally for the 2 minutes I'm scouring this thing trying to find some kind of damage. Because at this point it's kind of a matter of my honesty.
Your pride. Yeah, your pride.
He's kind of kidding, but he took me totally serious. And she walks up and she's on the other side of the mirror, and I'm 6'7", but the mirror's taller than me, and so she's on one side of the mirror, I'm on the other, going, what am I gonna say, And so I'm scouring. I don't find any issues with it, and she's like, so what's the issue? And the guy at the counter goes, oh, damage. And she's like, I don't see any damage. Where's the damage? I'm like, oh crap. So I go and I say, oh, there's no damage. I just thought there would be the Adam discount. And she's like, the who? The Adam discount. And we literally we went back in the most awkward conversation for 2 minutes. And it was so much fun because I'd already accepted that it was going to be okay.
Yeah.
And I have some successful stories, but that was an epic fail. And that was so good. No, it was so much fun. As we went out, my wife was, your husband's embarrassed. Oh, my wife was. And then I told her the story about my ex. We got embarrassed by that. And she's like, I know, I still love you or whatever. But yeah, I worked at Ruby River. It worked really well.
Oh, cool.
And then I went. There was a missing piece on my fence, so I went to go buy the piece, and she told me it was $6, and I was like, oh, she knew I needed it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, thank you so much for not raising the price. And she's like, I'll do it for $5. I was like, sweet, thanks.
Wow, she discounted herself. Dang.
Just from a gratitude.
Nice. Slade, let's hear this last one. Yeah.
So this one's twofold. So I was paying my taxes for my LLC.
Nice job.
I got on the phone with my tax accountant, and he's just like, dude, we've gone over everything twice. There's no more. There's nothing else that we can write off. And I was like, I'm gonna do an acquisition model. I was like, you're gonna think I'm a complete idiot for asking, but would you mind if I just came in and we just went over the numbers one more time? And he's just like, yeah, sure. So we go in, and he totally missed a massive thing, and ended up saving me about $1,500.
Yeah, I love these big savings.
To pay for it and to pay for their services, and I was like, oh shoot, here it goes. I was just like, and they're like, yeah, so your total will be this much, and I was just like, yeah, do you have the Brook College kid discount? It's just down the street. We go to BYU, and she's like, actually, yeah. And I was like, no way. It works. They gave me $150 off.
Yes, that's awesome. Guys, give them a hand. Give you guys a hand. That's good. I love these stories. I could listen to these all day long if we didn't have class, but use the Slack channel because I want to hear more about your guys' stories and your failures. A couple of things. What is it called when we repeat the last 3 words of the state? Mirroring. Real quick, did anyone do any mirroring? Okay, give me a quick story with this.
Okay, I was telling him, so I was talking with my wife, and you said you're not supposed to do this.
Yeah.
But I had to do it.
Yeah.
And it just kept coming.
Okay.
And coming and coming. And mirroring and labeling and mirroring and labeling. And then after like a while, I was like, now I know why he said that. So, that's my story.
But it worked,
But
huh?
I got a lot of information out. It was super great. It was a great conversation. So.
It's crazy. Like, did you feel awkward at first?
A little bit, but like she didn't quite catch on to it at first.
You
So
think they will? They don't.
I could like keep going and going, and then after a while, like she started to kind of figure it out, and
Yeah.
then that's kind of when it ended.
What is labeling? What are the words we use for labeling?
Seems like.
It seems like, and then what do we identify? Their emotion, right? So it seems like you're feeling this. It seems like you're having a hard day. Seth, you have something real quick?
Yeah, I was just practicing it in just everyday conversation. Like I wasn't trying to make anything out of it, such information. I was just, it felt so weird just to parrot like their idea. And I don't know, it was awkward for me.
It's awkward. You're like, but did they suspect it at all? Nothing. You like wait in silence. Like the silence is, you have to capture the silence. That's like key to this. Yes.
I was doing it on my roommate, and he's just like, dude, why are you copying?
Copying you? Okay, so we have mirroring, we have labeling, we have accusational audits, we have extreme anchors. Silence is a big one, right? Am I missing any? The Brigham discount. Okay, I think we covered all of them. I will post in Slack some like book reading material, non-obligational, that kind of goes over these things. And then also we want to talk about the Ackerman model. If you guys look that up later, it's phenomenal. It's a way to ask for discounts and like how to price strategy, okay? Price strategize. Okay, your next case study. We're not done with these, fellas. We're not done with these. You may think that this is a very ugly, you're like, dude, this slide sucks. Like, Carolina Panthers towel, like, what the heck is this? Is this like a hobo? Yes, this is a hobo, okay? This was me and my hobo time. So this is when I didn't have any money, and I slept on the ground. This was my bed. I used my clothes as a pillow. This is my suitcase, which is kind of like a protection against other people. I don't know why it like wasn't gonna, they could just step over it, but that's how I thought. And then I was behind a bush, okay? So, and then this like guy comes up to me in the middle of the night. It's like 2 or 3 a.m. and he's like walking over, and I like wake up because he like rustles I was like paranoid, you know? And he's like, I was like, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing? He's like, oh, I just want to know the time. What do you mean what time? It's the freaking middle of the night. Get away from me, you know? And that was my response. But yeah, it was a scary time. Okay, so case study that you have moving forward. You're shaking your head, Stefania. You're like, I would never do this. Part of our pillars in this class is resourcefulness, right? It's being resourceful. So for this case study, we'll post this to the group. This may or may not be loosely based on a true story. The $5 case study. So let's see if I can get, yeah, we got enough Zoom. So this is the year 2007. It's before the cell phone era, like where you got things like that. No cell phone in your hand. You didn't have a working cell phone or a data plan. You say goodbye to your friends. You're in Venice. How many of you guys have been to Venice? Okay, we got a few of you guys. You guys got a little bit of an idea of what's going on here. Okay, you say goodbye to your friends, and then being on your own for a few hours, you're like, wow, this will probably suck, but you still are feeling the pain from your family disowning you a year ago for dating the U of U girl. Looking back, it was a pretty dumb idea. She broke up with you for, admittedly, a better-looking guy that had a truck, you know? I'm just not ready for a relationship. Like, this will sound super cliche, but it's not you, it's me, you know? Holy crap, you were married like 4 weeks later? Come on. This is what she told you as you stood there crying and looking like a pitiful loser, SMH, yeah? Yeah, that was a bad idea, but come on, your parents shouldn't disown you, but because they disowned you, you can't rely on them for any money anymore to bail you out of this situation, okay? So you're stuck in Venice in this situation. So then, as the story continues, it's expensive for you to use your last pennies on a failed acting / modeling career that didn't pay off or go anywhere in India, you know? That may or may not be true either. Did I tell you guys that story? Yeah. Okay, that's funny. You know, but you got some cool pictures. You like got a gondola ride. You look like James Bond. You're hoping to get a good girlfriend after those, you know, pictures and everything. I made that name up, Cecilia Di Vitalia. It sounds Italian. You say goodbye to your friends as you start to walk. You know, you realize you don't have your wallet. So you check your whole bag, there's no wallet in there. And all you have left is $5 freaking. And your friends are gone. And you're going to miss your flight because you don't have your ID. You're done. Okay? This semi-happened to me, okay? Not everything in here, but some of this. So get down to the end, sum up the scenario. €5, you're in Venice, you got a suitcase full of crap. Your plane ticket booked home 1 month out is $800, okay? You need to survive until you can get onto the planes. You need to come up with the money and survive to get on the plane. There is no Western Union and you do not speak Italian. You've got to figure this out, okay? 3 pages. You're graded on resourcefulness, creativity, all of these things. Don't get bogged down into like super big details, but this is why I think you guys will like this. The winner of this, okay, here we go. The winner of this case study, it's an individual assignment, gets my car for the weekend. Yeah, at least for a day. Okay? The runner-up gets $5 to live out your dream of this case study. Okay, is the camera rolling, Keaton? Oh, he's not in here. I hope that's not actually on, but this happened last semester. I don't want this to leave the room. But so my TA comes to me when we did this assignment, and he's like, hey, I got 2 that I think are really good, and I want to know which one you would choose as like the winner. And I said, look, I don't even care. Basically, give it to the one you think is a better driver. And he says, I got a guy and a woman. I'll give it to the guy. And I'm like, dude, come on. Like, women, like, they have a better insurance. Like, they're much better drivers than men are. But I don't know. So it worked out. That was what he did. Anyways, yeah. Especially a sports car. You don't want to, like, have them, like, crash it and, like, drive super fast. I don't know. But that was bad. It was messed up. Any questions? Yes.
What do you drive, Brandon?
I'm not going to tell you. I mean, this kind of gives it away. No, it's not like that. Yes, Diana.
So I know I'm sounding the past, but if I win, I'll just have my husband drive, if that.
I don't mind if you drive. But women are better drivers than men, for the most part, right? They have fewer accidents.
He's probably better driver than I am.
Oh, fair enough.
I think you're better.
Fair enough, fair enough. He's got more practice. Riley's grading this, so thanks, Diana. So he will have the final say on this. So, any other questions? I'm not going to tell you what I drive, but it is really fast. We'll say that.
Is it your Arizona car, or do you have one in Utah?
I have one in Utah, but my one in Arizona is a Subaru Crosstrek. It's nothing special. Yeah, it's not that one. Yeah, but definitely will be fun to drive. You guys will have a really good time with this, and I'll pay for all your gas. All right, next assignment. Next assignment for this. Okay, here we go. The next assignment is to interview a millionaire. Okay? This cannot be your uncle, your rich cousin, your family member, your dad. Okay, sorry, Steve. Melissa can't be doing this with you. There's no interviewing a millionaire in your family. I want you guys to actually go out and find somebody successful and interview that person. Okay? Yes, Matt.
Maybe a millionaire having derived it from any source.
Any source. Okay? I mean, it'd be kind of lame if it's like, yeah, I got this from my parents. I'm a trust fund baby. Spent all my time on a boat. Cool, you're going to be a fun interview. What's a good movie to watch? You probably have a lot of time on your hands. You know? I want you guys to think outside the box. There's some crazy stories. Last time we had the owner of the Phoenix Suns. We had like the owner of Vivint. We've had the owner of doTERRA. We've had like just crazy people that have got interviewed. Like basketball players have gotten interviewed. Like just be creative and see what you can figure out. Find somebody that's like a baller and just go interview the guy, okay? Then what I want you guys to do to turn this in, where's my phone? Does anyone have a phone? Yes, thank you. Okay, so after you're done with the interview, you're coming out, you walk outside. I want you to film yourself. Hey, this was my interview. I blah, blah, blah. This is what I learned, and this is what I got it from. And I want you guys to just put it onto a YouTube video that you submit through Slack. Okay? You guys good with that? Any questions? Minute and a half tops. This is what I spent on it, etc. That's it. That's all I want from that, okay? So nothing more. Are you guys cool with that? Any questions? Yes? In the future. Yes.
Anything in specific that you want us to ask them?
Remember the questions from the beginning of class? You guys remember them? What is your favorite place you traveled? No, you don't have to ask that one. What advice would you give your 25-year-old self? What is like a book you've read this year that's been influential in your life? And then ask a bunch of how questions. Don't ask the why questions as much. Ask the how questions. You don't have to use any of those. You know, becoming a good interviewer is like part of the fun, and it takes practice. Guys, I freaking do this all the time. I just took out like some billionaire. Well, he has like $1 billion project. I don't know if he's a billionaire. But I just asked him, I was like, hey, after we do this deal, can you ask your boss if I could take him out to lunch? And he said yes. I do this all the time, honestly. It's great. Yes, did someone have a question? Nathan.
Would you be willing to put up a few questions on Slack or something just to kind of give us some foundational
Riley?
some good ideas?
Okay, Riley will do it.
Do you have the
Yeah. Yeah, class 1, Canva class 1, it's like in there. We just take a screenshot of that and throw it up. Great question. Anything else? Cool, let's move on. All right, guys, I'm so excited for today. I am so freaking excited for today. Riley, you know the drill. You know what we're doing for this. Okay, how'd you guys feel about the Sugar Me case study? Will's got 2 thumbs up. We'll see if that's true. Seth's got a thumb up. Slade's got the gladiator, like, he doesn't really know how that's going. Okay, how'd you guys feel? Tell me something.
It was refreshing, like to look at a business case that wasn't like, you know, something that was directly in your life and whatnot. It was kind of fun because you knew that there was an answer. A lot of times when you do problems in our lives, I think in our own lives, we wonder if there's an answer.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you do a case study, you know there's an answer. So it's like, I just got to get to it.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
Cool. All right, I like that. Stefania.
I like this one because you weren't supposed to obsess over financials, whereas in every other class I'm in, I have to know exactly what.
Love that. Yeah, thank you. Cool. Anyone else? Yes.
I like that you're able to come up with your own answer.
Okay.
Like, he said there is an answer. I'm like, yeah, but there could be several. Like,
There could.
doesn't have to be one solid answer.
On the number side, by the way I derived this answer was, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Okay. We'll get to that. There's a surprise coming. Yeah, go ahead.
I like the collaborative aspect of it.
Okay.
Know members of my team a little bit better.
Yeah. Anyone you want to fire yet?
Two of ours quit. We got rid of them. We scared them. Twins.
The twins quit?
Yeah.
They quit the class?
They gone.
They gone. They's out of here.
He said to me, I thought about the pain question and I choose the corporate life.
I freaking love that. What's up? All right, guys. Let me ask you this now. Let me ask you this question. How many of you, I want you to say if you have experience creating compensation models for employees. Wait, one person? Matthew? How many of you have experience creating compensation models for employees? So Slade, Adam, Matthew, you've got a little experience. What did you do?
So I run a digital marketing company right now.
Oh, so you got employees.
Account managers.
4 account managers. Awesome. Okay, so we got some. But wait a minute. Riley, the majority of the people here have absolutely no experience doing this.
Sounds right.
Interesting. Okay. Are you placed in situations as an entrepreneur where you have no idea what you're doing? Okay. Could I have maybe given you an assignment where you are probably going to be clueless on it on purpose? Interesting. Interesting. So let me ask you this question. How many of you guys thought about what I told you last week that said if you treat this like a school assignment, you will fail? Okay. Stefania's shaking your head. What did you think about that?
About, oh yeah, well, school kind of teaches you to have a very linear approach, kind of closed-minded in the sense that you're just looking for the right answer all
Yeah.
the time because you're afraid of messing up.
Right.
When you said that, what I thought of was you have to open your mind to allow it to find different solutions that aren't generated out.
So we know that all of you guys, it's safe to assume you got experience because of your company. You guys, how much experience you guys got? One employee. You got a little bit of experience right now. You're still a neophyte. Adam?
So it just depends on what you look at. I ran a small business when I was a kid, and like that's where I really learned.
You had employees?
Now I yeah, I'm just a kid.
Okay, so he's got some experience in this. Matt?
I've done it for clients, I've done it for self.
Okay, probably more experience than a lot of us. You know, you got a lot more life experience as well in this. That's good. I'm going to tell you this now, okay? If you get the right answer to this case study, I will give you full credit. okay? And I'm going to grade you on that. If you don't get the right answer to this, you are hit pretty hard. And it's going to be fair, but you're going to be hit, like really hit, okay? How many of you, judging that you don't know what's going on, you guys have all said this, you have no idea how to do this. This is something essential to a business running. Would you agree? Like if you don't pay your employees right, they either leave, they don't work for you right. Like there's so much involved. This is mission critical. Like you will fail as a business if you don't get this right. How many of you, understanding the gravity of the situation, because it's your business on the line, how many of you sought out a professional mentor or somebody to help you with this outside of this class? Say aye. Who'd you find?
My buddy Tyler.
Tell me about him.
He just studies distressed debt.
Okay. Where's your group? Okay. Raise your hand if you're in his group. Okay, that's fantastic. Who else? Yes, Seth, tell me about it. Okay, I don't count because I'm not going to tell you the answer to this. Who else? Yes, who do you got?
It wasn't me, but Sean in our group did. Contacted his father-in-law.
He's the curly-haired guy?
Yeah.
And you guys made fun of him for doing that? No, you guys said it was like a bad idea? You guys were against it at all? Is that your mom?
No, that was my alarm. It was supposed to be 6 a.m.
I don't know why you get up at 6 a.m. That's the real question. Holy crap. But he did. He contacted somebody. So you got you guys. Who else? Is anyone else? Yes, Will.
I Googled it, which is
That's not counting.
professionalism.
That's not counting. Who else? Yes.
I do my sister-in-law business ownership, so businesses.
Okay. Did she give you advice?
Yeah, I just wanted to hear your opinion as well.
Okay. Phenomenal. So if you did, raise your hand again. You guys are good. You guys come on down to this front row right here. You guys come on down to the front row. You guys all just got 100% on this assignment. You guys just got 100% on this assignment. Come on down. Mostly, the majority of the rest of this class might have failed this assignment. Guys, how is it that you have an assignment to build a business that's something as so important as the compensation of your employees, and you don't find professional help? In what world is that a good idea? In what world is that smart to not take advice from people who are a lot smarter than you? Guys, some of you think you're the blue font. Some of you guys think you're here. You should be this guy, okay? This should be who you are. But you guys think you're here. Okay, you need to be here. That's how success happens in businesses. If you think that you're the smartest guy in the room, you've got a huge problem. And when you're the one not finding mentors, not finding people smarter than you have done this before, you've got a huge problem, okay, for your assignments. Guys, I'm wanting you to learn this. This is like one of the most critical things I could teach you, because I cannot teach you everything about business. I cannot. But you can find somebody smarter than you for whatever problem you have, guaranteed. And it is in your best interest as an entrepreneur to go find that person and learn from that person to solve that problem. That is the number one skill I could probably teach you, because that answers access to all other skills. In this case, for a compensation problem like this, who could we talk to? Who would be smart for this? Yeah.
Guys who run financials.
Guys who run financials, right? Because they know how to answer these questions. Yes, Adam.
Any manager that's trying to incentivize people to like create a certain action that they currently don't have.
Yes, great answer. Who else? Adam.
The person I talked to last year was, they ran HR at a tech startup.
Super good idea. Yeah, an HR manager. Yes.
Guys with a lot of summer sales recruits.
Okay, yeah, they have an idea. Yeah, okay. How about a VC? They see tons of people, right? Venture capitalists. The guys in the last class had a VC that they talked to, and they got 100% on the mentorship and 100% on the assignment. Makes sense, right? Because those are the guys dealing with the biggest businesses that are the most successful. That's who I want to talk to, is the successful people at this. Whatever your problem is, whatever you decide to start for a business, your first step is to find a freaking mentor. Find somebody in your business that's way smarter than you. 3 years ago, I went to go start a school for Sugar Me Wax, and I knew I couldn't find a mentor in my area. So I call up in Denver and I said, hey, I don't ever plan on competing with you, but I really like your practice as a school, and I'd like to learn from you. Would it be okay if I flew up for a day and just took notes and kind of shadowed you so I can learn about your business? Because I want to start one down here in Arizona. Second person I emailed, she said yes. I flew up to Denver. She opened up her entire books for me. I saw everything. And I realized I wasn't in a position to start a school. That $300 flight and a night stay over there saved me over $100,000 in a business decision. Okay? You not finding mentors, all of you up here, if you fail this assignment, let this be the lesson for you. I want this to be painful so that for the rest of your life, you realize that one of the first steps to starting a business is you need a mentor. For every aspect of a business you don't know. How can you think that you can do a compensation model that you have no clue how to do and no experience at and think that it's okay not finding somebody smarter than you to do that? It just doesn't make any sense. We talk about in this class, we said this before, we said we're not going to grade and take this class like other people at school. You guys remember that? This class is built on its own pillars. Those pillars rely on you being successful entrepreneurs. You are graded as you would a successful entrepreneur. If you did not find help for this, you failed at being a successful entrepreneur. Okay? Doesn't matter about the case study. That's far more important. I want you guys to remember that. Like I said, we're going to grade this just like it should be graded. You could still get an A on this assignment. Unlikely, but you could. Okay? If you just know what you're doing and you're smart enough with this stuff, you might. So let's go through the answers to this. First off, I was in Spain, and I talked to somebody over there, and I said, I found somebody I really admired. I said, hey, if you had to go back and learn how to become a professional dancer, how would you do it? And then he said to me, you know what I would do? I would go find the smartest and best person I could possibly find at dancing. I'd go find the best, and I would just go take classes from him or her. I said, okay. I Google search, world's best dancer. And Adrian and Anita were 7-time world champions. So I moved to Barcelona. And I walk up there and I knock on their door and I see their school and it's like everybody's there like phenomenal, like in Dancing with the Stars times 10, you know? And I'm like, hey, Adrian, I can't say that word for some reason. I'd like to dance in your school. Would you allow me to come to your school and take private lessons from you? And his private lessons were very expensive. But he said, you know, try out, see if you can make it. So there's 9 levels to dance over there. In the States, it's like beginner and like semi-intermediate. Over there, they have 9 levels. I mean, these are professional schools. I tried out. He said, come on in. And so from the next like couple months, I danced like 20 hours a week with their school and like private lessons every week with them. It was phenomenal. I learned more in 2 months than most people learn in years. Adrian, the guy, dude, like he like played the women's part a lot of times when I take privates. I tried to get privates with her, but she was busy a lot. And so he would play the women's part, and I'd be like dancing with him. It was so weird. But then he'd be like, turn your hand like this. I'm like, it's a quarter turn. But he's like, yeah, but that creates the spin. And he'd have like fundamentals to everything. He knew so much. He's like, the pressure is too small. And I'm like, dude, come on. It's like, what are you talking about? But like for him, it made that much of a difference. Things I would never be able to learn from somebody who was just average, right? I got really good at dancing because of it, right? That is the mentality I want you guys to have. You need to find mentors when you're starting businesses. It will change the game for you. Anybody ever hear that your salary is the average of your 5 closest friends? Oh, Tony Robbins said that? Yeah, think about that. Mentors are not just people you talk to once, like the Interview of a Millionaire. You need to find people that you can put in your life that can always be there. I've got a dentist, my buddy Kyle up there. I've got a doctor that's a mentor. I've got an investment banker who's a mentor. I've got a bishop, my ex-bishop. We have lunch like once every other month. And we just talk about spiritual things. And, you know, if I ever need counseling on something, he's a great guy to go to. He's a mentor for me. We talk a lot. I pay a professional coach, a business coach, to be my mentor. I pay him like $1,000 a month. We meet twice a month. And he's phenomenal. He's worth every penny of it. I'm about to start up with a personal mentor as well. Like it's crazy how much of a difference that makes in your life. Diana, you're a coach, right? Yeah. You know, you see these differences. Yeah. How come you didn't get a compensation person, girl?
Well, I just skimmed over it late last night when I was going to bed, and I'm like, okay, yeah, everything looks good. And if I were to take this seriously, I was thinking I would go and get somebody to help me do this.
She would have been successful on this. If I were taking this seriously, I would have. Okay, guys, so can you guys see this okay? Or do I need to take, I don't want to close this because, yeah. So, okay, by the way, is this on?
I don't think so, dude.
That says 9 decibels sensitivity. Okay, cool. No, it's not a microphone, it's a recorder. Oh. Yeah, they're recording the class for other people.
The camera did shut off, so.
It did shut off?
It was going, but it's off.
Can you go turn that back on? Do you know how?
I don't.
Does anyone know how to turn a camera on?
Oh, I lied. That was my internet connection. We're good.
Oh, because you're watching on the YouTube thing. We're good, guys. We're good. Okay. So financial model, sugar me wax, back to the case study. What's happening before is that too much time is spent waxing and not enough time is spent managing. So we want this to be the way it is for time allocation, but this is how they're paid over here. That's a problem, right? So if they're doing this much work and they're getting paid this much of the slice of pie, that's a problem. And so they kept coming to me. They're like, hey, we don't have any time. We need assistant managers for everything. That was their solution. Okay? What we want to happen is for the amount of time that they're managing, they're being paid for that. So we have to change something up on this project to make that happen. Okay, so let's talk about this. Any ideas on how to make this work? Slade.
I would say have them compensated based off their training performance. So they're trying to up the ability of other estheticians, right? And so if they are able to successfully train others to be able to raise to a certain standard of performance,
Okay.
then they should get bonuses or compensation for their ability to train.
Okay, Slade has a good idea. What you got?
So we talked about lowering their commission rate for the waxings they do,
Uh-huh.
and then raising the rate for the total store growth and the total store sales by giving them a higher percent
A higher percent of what?
of sales from everybody in that
So a
store.
percentage of the sales.
Yes.
So a percentage of the revenue.
Yes, and growth.
And how would you give them growth?
Well, I don't really know.
Because if it's revenue, it's
But
not
like
growth. You
revenue,
got to.
yeah, but like
So
maybe
revenue.
bonuses or something if they store grew and stuff like that.
Okay.
But revenue.
So we had the same concept. We did a sliding scale on the revenue share
Uh-huh.
based on how many membership sales their like the people that work for them have.
How many people, okay, I like where your head's at. How many of you people had a revenue-based model? So if we bring in more revenue, we give more money for that. Say I. Kind of doesn't work. Is it based off revenue? So if the revenue goes up, you get more pay.
Yes.
Yes? Okay, how many of you did that based off of profit? Say I. So if the profit goes up for the company, they get more pay. It was like one or the other. What? Yeah, Adam.
Yeah, so what I was looking at is I actually kind of, I did a little bit different where I said, I get where you're at as how much time they're spending on management, but like if you can make their management more effective.
Okay.
Like, so like for example, there's certain things that they're doing that like for example interviews and then like scheduling customers. So both of those things can be outsourced, except the interviews have to be done by obviously the experienced people, but they can be scheduled during dead times. Because obviously you don't want to be taking away waxing time from them because
True.
that is right now a huge
Portion of their revenue.
Yeah, the revenue, so they're going to get pissed. And you want to go ahead and incentivize them to do something different than kind of what they're doing. So what I said is the bottom line is you want monthly memberships, right? And so if you're assuming that a monthly membership is going to go ahead and they're going to stick around for 7 to 8 months, but if you say 5 months, that means your attrition is 20%. So you're losing 20% every month. So the problem is right now you're assuming all your estheticians are great, which is fine, which is true. But the problem is that not all your estheticians are created equal in the fact that they're driving revenue for you. But not everybody's made equal as far as sales. And so the biggest thing that you want to do is you want to create a minimum line that anyone who works for you, pretty much anyone, you can have a little bit of fault with this, is at least creating 20% of their new customers, converting them into memberships, because that guarantees
Growth.
I
love it.
And stability. And the way you can do it is you did say that it's an intimate experience. But at the same time, we know that there's customers, there's a certain percentage that it's not they don't care as much. They just want it done well.
Yeah.
And so the people that you're not able to train but are amazing estheticians, you don't want to like fire them because then everyone else will get pissed or hurt employee. So you can actually go ahead and take that individual and you can put them on all the excess. So the people who are good at selling will keep churning new business. So overall, you're going to be fine.
You probably want to go do that thing.
Yeah. Did you want to
give you my card?
Yeah.
No, sorry. Let me come back to you.
It's just revenue growth. You're gonna.
So you say it's a function. So it's a function of payment based off of how their performance is in terms of the memberships.
Yeah, I mean, you have to include memberships.
You have to include
Because
memberships.
Otherwise, what you're going to do is you're going to have a problem with you're going to see an immediate boost. But the problem is like once your managers are happy making more money, they won't continue to grow your business.
Because they're making more money.
Exactly.
Okay, so is it okay, we'll come back to you. Does somebody else have something they wanted to say before we move on to actually look at the answer? Yes.
I think that it was important to just realize that the lifetime value of customer acquisition was
Yeah.
just way too high. And that the only way to bring that down was through memberships.
Uh-huh.
And so you had to get your management managing the esthetician so that they could more effectively create memberships.
Wait, so what do you mean the lifetime value of a customer acquisition is too high? Is it too expensive to acquire a customer?
Yeah, so like basically if you're just acquiring customer by customer
Yeah.
and doing the marketing for that, it's more expensive than if you can just get a membership. Is basically
There is no lifetime one. Okay, yeah, so having memberships is a lot more valuable than not having memberships, essentially. So how do you compensate them based off of that? Let's look at it. All right. I heard a lot of you guys talk about revenue models. In a revenue model, we pay them based on the revenue they bring in, so it's a percentage of the revenue, okay? So right now we're paying them 7.5% of the service revenue is set aside for the managers. What's the problem with that? Functionally, what's the problem with that? Go ahead.
So if they're incentivized to just increase revenue and not look at costs, they make stupid decisions about costs and increase your costs in order to give themselves.
That's really good. That's really good. So they can maybe get more revenue out of it, but they're not thinking like an actual business owner.
Yeah.
They're not thinking about.
Give away product or
Yes.
things
Phenomenal.
at cost so that they can increase their revenue.
So they can get increase. They're like, hey, why don't you take this free skincare thing that costs our salon $50, and then, sure, I'll sign up for a membership at that point. Yeah, exactly. Good. Okay, that's part of it. What else? What else is a problem with this model? You guys are like, crap. This is my model. I don't want to call this a problem. On a revenue-based model. What else is a problem here, Steve?
I do like a version of that, but I actually like for things like memberships diminishing to where it diminishes over, say, a 2 to 3 year cycle, so that maybe at the end of the year, if they can retain those memberships, there's a bonus for employees, but they're always going after the new business.
Okay, I like that too, but what's wrong with this model? Go ahead.
Something that's wrong with this model is that managers and the general manager herself are incentivized based on commission, so actually performing the services.
Yes, very good. Very good, very good. How do the managers make the most money? In the room. So we're incentivizing them because remember, we gave them 40% and 30%, everybody else is lower. We give them more money to do services. So what are they going to do to optimize money for them?
Services.
They're not just generous gurus and Gandhis, right? Like they want to make money. So they're going to spend all the time they possibly can doing services and not as much time waxing or managing. That's the issue. So what do we have to do to their commission? First off, we got to cut it. We got to make their commission the same for all waxing. If you're doing a waxing job, you get the commission for waxing. There's levels for experience, but you have to cut commissions there. Okay, that's step one. And then we allot a specific amount of money for management. Now, how do we decide how much to allot for management? That is the question. Matt.
You put in advertising. Essentially what they were doing is they're training, and they're training on, Adam?
Yeah.
Adam touched on it, that we want them training on how to sell.
Yep.
So if we can get them to focus on training everybody, we create a culture of we sign people up. We get people to sign up.
Matt,
Everybody.
I'm going to stop you right here.
Okay.
I did all of that.
Oh, sorry.
I did all of that for my company. No, don't say sorry for this. I tried all that. I'm motivating them. They're motivating the employees. None of that worked. None of that worked. I thought the same way as you, and none of that worked. So back to the original question. What is wrong with this model as a revenue model? Please.
It doesn't take into account anything with experience.
Okay. Yes, it does not. It takes into account revenues only. And there's not a lot of like how much does that actually have an effect on the company. We'll go here and here. Last two comments.
So the manager doesn't have any incentive for what the people underneath them do.
Interesting. As long as it's making money, they're making money.
If they help them make money, that helps me make money.
Well, if they make more revenue as a salon, they get more money.
So more incentive.
The employees aren't incentivized to grow the business.
Yes, but all of these are true. Guys, listen to this. On a revenue-based model, what happens when I lose money on a month? Do I still pay them? Now I lose even more money. If you pay somebody on revenue and you have no profit, you just lost even more money. Their incentive is not the same as your incentive. You guys are not aligned. Okay, that's a huge problem on a revenue-based model. If you answered this, you got 0 points for this part of the assignment. If you have a revenue-based model, you have 0 points for that part of the assignment. Question 2. Adam.
So what I did is I looked at, it was all based off of new revenue.
New revenue?
New revenue, because really, because like that would fix your problem. Because if you base it off of new revenue,
That's growth.
still true, but it's still, yeah, it's growth, but it's still a portion. So basically what I was saying is, if you're going to say basically, here this model says every dollar is equal, and I say it's not.
Yeah,
So-
you're exactly right.
Exactly. So like,
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that like, that you wouldn't consider that, because I still would have said that's a revenue-based model. It's just what type of
Guys, I'm not going to answer questions about your individual like assignments. Like, hey, I did this. Don't want that right now, okay? Because we could do that all day long. No, this is an attack on Adam. I'm just saying this to everybody. It happened in the last class too. In Adam's case, I think when I show you the rest of this, you might say, hey, this fits in. I'm not grading your assignment anyway. So preaching to me about what you did and didn't do, you got to talk to Riley, who's not here right now, okay? That's the guy you really want to convince, okay? Because he's the actual one grading your assignment. The grading is cut and dry. It's very objective, okay? The grading is very objective. A better model than revenue is profit, okay? A better model than revenue is profit, because with a profit model, you're taking a portion of earnings, so you're not ever in the hole, right? Because once you go in the hole, you get a burn rate, and that's not good. This is what?
This is how I structure my pay.
Okay, you're almost there, buddy, but you're not all the way there. This model is better, but it's not the best. Look at this. So some form of profit sharing where these employees get something for what they do, that's half credit for this question. So out of 50 points, you'll get 25 points if you have a form of profit sharing. My question for you is, what is wrong with a profit sharing model? It seems great. You're making money, they're making money, everybody's happy. Yes, yes.
What happens when you have some bum employees who aren't even interested in making money?
Then they won't make money because they don't care about the profit.
But if you're basing your profit off of everybody's
Uh-huh.
profit, that means the guy who's working hard isn't getting as much money because the bum that's not doing the work.
So this would be in addition to their commission. Yep, so this is the bonus structure that's paid out for their management pay. This is solely for managers, yes.
If you have a struggling, like all stores aren't made equal.
Right.
So if you have a store that's like has done better profit in the past, like even before the manager got there, and that manager got that position.
He's riding the shirt tails.
Managers fighting with each other, like why do they get that good store?
That's exactly what happens. Exactly what happens, okay? Because he's riding on work that's not fair. Remember last week we talked about emotional decisions? Do you guys know who Robin Williams is? Robin Williams got a contract with Disney to do Aladdin, in the very first Aladdin, not the new one with Will Smith, right? He's dead right now, that can't happen. Come on, guys. Okay, so Robin Williams gets this contract, and his saying on that, he goes, look, I know you guys don't have a lot, I'll do it for $750,000. The whole voice of Aladdin, because I want my kids to have a legacy that they can take on forever, and I think this movie will be a good thing. And he was fair with that. That was his offer. Then Aladdin makes $456 million, and his lawyers go to town on them, right? The only thing that changed was the perception of fairness. Do you guys get that? That's the only thing that changed. The contract was exactly the same as it was before. So when a manager sees another manager making more money and working less hard than her, oh, she's gonna let you have it, right? So that kind of thing of like riding on shirt tails without a fair compensation absolutely is a problem. Go ahead, Seth.
Also, this doesn't take into account like you as the business owner.
Uh-huh.
Right? Like if you're still profit sharing, I mean, I don't know, like let's say you need more capital than they do, right? Because they're just supporting your lifestyle, you're supporting the whole business.
Well, you just give them less of the profit. It doesn't have to be an equal profit share. You can give them 10% and you take 90%. Yeah, that's fair. What else? Huh? Anything? What makes this model bad? You guys aren't thinking about this in the right terms. Yes?
Well, if you have a few bad months and they're not making anything because the profit's not there, they're going to leave.
Good. Very good. They're piecing out. I didn't sign up for this. That comes back to the next point about profit sharing. And this is where a lot of people get screwed up, so pay attention here. In a profit sharing model, most people that start businesses want to give away profits. They want to give them out. Hey, we'll share profits, buddy, 50-50. Profit comes at a price, okay? Profit does not come from sweat equity, unless that sweat equity is something you could not possibly get some other way, okay? Like a specific coder that you know is like necessary for your business. Down in Phoenix, the USL team, the like minor soccer league team, Drogba just got signed up on the team. He's like some famous guy. He brought in a lot of people that wouldn't be there before. They gave him a portion of the contract. he's like a EPL player. He would never play at that level, but because he brought in, they're helping him get to the major leagues, and it was all part of it. He brought something other than money that couldn't be found from another person. That's okay for profit. Everybody else, no. Okay? If your employee, let's say you're my employee, at the end of the night, if my business goes under, how do you sleep? Just fine. You go find another business to work for. If you're me, you don't sleep very well. Those 5 months leading up to it, when you're sleeping, just thinking, I got a paycheck, I'm cool. I can go peace out, go somewhere else. I'm thinking, man, I got a family. I just put my lease on the line. I got $150,000 in debt. That's worth profit. That's why you get paid the big bucks, because you took the risk that where they're sleeping well on their pillow, you're not. That's when you take profits. Don't give your profits up just to give up, just because it feels like a good model to use. It's a bad model, okay? It's not what we want to do. An employee is an employee because they don't take the risk that you're taking. They are trading time for a paycheck and a steady paycheck. That's what they want, okay? Don't give up more of the pie than you need to give up, okay? That's what's wrong with this model. The second thing that's wrong with this model, this is very important, okay? If you are going to sell your business, when you sell that business, they need to see economies of scale. So what that means is if you're doing $100,000 in revenue and your profit percentage is 10%, what should that profit percentage be at $200,000 in revenue? Huh? At least the same, but what?
So you said 10% on 100,000 goes to 200,000, so 20,000?
No, they do not want that.
Well, no, it would need to be at least that.
Yeah,
As you
minimum.
grow, yeah.
But what should it be?
Should be higher.
Should be higher, right? Because you have economies of scale. That software that you bought for $1,000 a month now is half the price and percentage of the profit of the revenue. Or that lease that you have that you're paying a fixed cost on is now a smaller amount, right? But what happens on a profit sharing model? There's no economies of scale. This is the big fundamental problem with profit sharing. There's no economies of scale. You can't do it. You can't sell a business like that. They're going to look at that and say, this is crazy. Why are you doing this? Yes, Will.
This is more of a curiosity question, but
Yeah.
did you bring these ideas to your mentors and they shot them down and they gave you the solution?
No.
Or did you figure it out? Or
I went to my mentor, who's an investment banker, who deals with tons of retail unit stores, and I said, how do the professionals do it? And he gave me the answer. I had no idea. Yeah, I did a revenue share. What you saw was what I was doing before. I had no idea. But luckily, I was smart enough to get a mentor. And that changed the game for me. Good question, Will. Yeah. Okay, so what is the actual answer? Let's take a look at this. You ready, Adam?
Oh, yeah.
A growth-based model. In a growth-based model, you pay your performance on a basis of growth. Okay? So the next quarter, if they're not growing the company next quarter, they ain't getting paid. Okay? They're not always taking the profits. They're not always taking the revenue. Both of those models don't allow them to really have the incentive to keep on growing all the time. But on a growth-based model, you better believe it, their numbers depend, them hitting their numbers of growth, make it so that they depend on that paycheck that way. And if you get to a point of saturation in a market, then you start changing things. But if you're a growth-based company where growth is important to you, then you have to keep them on a growth-based model. We'll go here and here. Matt.
So what happened the following month?
Of this?
Yeah, once you implemented, what was the change in number in quarter? Or month over month?
Matt, I'll get back to that question. I love that question. I need to explain a little bit more, and then we'll see it. Okay, I'll come back to that. Great question.
mine is just a kind of general confusion of what this means.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Okay, so first off, the manager pay pool is based on membership growth. So basically, every quarter, I look at how many members I have, and then the next quarter, if my membership shrinks, they don't get the bonus. If my membership grows, on a pay scale, they're given more and more of the bonus. Does that make sense? So actually, look at this slide. So these are the two. So membership growth quarter over quarter or total appointments quarter over quarter. That's a growth model, okay? And this is what this looks like. So the manager is given 25% compensation. That's the max you're given for a waxing esthetician, right? Compensation is the same. If you're making a burger, you're making a burger. It does not matter if you're a special manager or not. You're getting paid that for making a burger, okay? In this case, pulling hair out. You get a base salary, so we answer that question of, hey, what happens if I just suck at my job for a couple months? I still get a base salary. But it's very minimal because I really think that there's incentives to go higher. And then you have a bonus target. And the way the bonus target works is like this. If I grow my memberships 10%, I get 100% of that bonus target. If I grow at 5%, I get 75%. If I grow 0%, I still get 50% of the bonus targets. They still get 750 plus the 500. That's my model. Doesn't have to be it for everybody. But what I'm doing is I'm aligning the growth. What I'm doing, this is the main point. You need to remember this. The best way to compensate your employees and your managers is by aligning their financial incentive with your incentive. Whatever your goal is, your employees' pay needs to be aligned with that goal. Yes?
Did you ever run into a case where managers...
Speak up. Speak up. Got a video camera preaching, all right?
When managers in their unit in that capacity, do you give them more offices? Or what happens when they can't grow anymore?
So that growth-based model, we're turned into a retainer model. We're not there right now. But if that were the case, my incentive is not to grow anymore, because I don't think that's possible. My incentive is to maintain. And so I would financially align their goals with my incentive, which is to maintain. Phenomenal question. Coming back to you, Matt. Anything else? Yes, Adam.
I just want to interject, like historically, there might be people that would be tempted to mumble about how you gave an assignment that the KPI wasn't obvious and like they didn't know the answer and it was a trick question or whatever. And to that I would say that's how the real world is. Like school is easy, like it's, you know, somebody gives you a paper at the beginning that says that's what everything that you need to do, and it's just not how the real world works. So I love this assignment.
Thank you. I knew this, you would have no idea how to do this. I absolutely knew that. And I'm grading you on how successful you are at being an entrepreneur, which is thinking outside of the box and actually answering a real world question that you most likely are going to fail at because you had no idea how to do this. And my hope is that if you failed at this assignment, if you got this completely wrong and you're totally off on this, you don't walk out of the room like Seth because he's like so mad. No, I'm just kidding. My hope is that you never forget this assignment because it's been painful for you. So that when you get in the real world and you have a situation where you're trying to start a business, I would rather you lose your shirt tails here in this class on one assignment and still get a decent grade in the class than go in the real world and risk everything you got on a business that fails because you weren't smart enough to get a mentor. Okay? I would much rather you fail here than in the real world. So let that be the lesson for you out of this assignment, if nothing else. Thank you, Adam. Okay. So that's what this looks like. We got 3 days of waxing, 1 day to train. That's what it came down to. Now that answers question 1 and question 2. Okay? What about for the employees? So we talked about 2 things. We talked about membership conversion rate. So how out of 4, if they saw 100 people, how many of them bought a membership? 25 would be 25%. You guys good with that? And then membership sold. Okay? Before, and like almost every other company, but we're not like other companies, right? We're going to think differently after this class. Before, what we would do is we would do a time-based model, right? It's like you've been here a year, so you should get paid this much. I got seniority because I've been here 5 years, et cetera, right? And that would look something like this. It would go 20% was the bottom, 22.5%. That's, yeah, 5. Yep. And then up here would be 25%, right? Okay? That's how it was before. I've been here 0 time. I've been here 6 months. I've been here 1.5 years. I get the high bonus. That's experience. What's the problem with this? What's the problem? Yes?
You may have been there for forever, but you suck at sales.
You suck at sales. And my incentive as a business owner is that you are good at sales. If you're not good at sales, I don't have any economic incentive for you working for me. Okay, that's a fact. You shouldn't be paid the same amount as, okay, so if you remember the car, Rebecca, who was like bottom of the chain, should not be paid the same as Angelique, who sold 2 memberships versus 40. I'm sorry, one is much more valuable to the company than the other. You guys with me? So we have to reinvent this. So this is how we do it. So it's not based on time, it's based on total sales of the lifetime of the company. So if you sold 0, you're apprentice. Okay? An apprentice is the bottom level, 20%. Once you sell 50 memberships, you move up to advanced. And once you sell 150 memberships, I'm coming to your question, Matt, you go to expert. Okay? Once you sell 150 memberships, you go to expert. Go ahead.
How do you keep them wanting to sell memberships once they reach 150?
That is an excellent question. Holy crap. And it's one I didn't think of. I went to my coach and I showed him this and he said, well, that's exactly what he asked me. It's a phenomenal question. What's the answer? He says, how do you keep them motivated? Once it hit 150, once Rebecca hits 150 memberships, She can coast. Who cares? How do you keep them motivated? What? Huh?
She has to maintain a certain level to keep there.
Oh, good. How do we do that? What was the problem in the thing? Yes.
You just do like a percentage, so like they have to stay above like 30% conversion rate.
Yes, you absolutely could. Go ahead.
But you said what was the problem? The problem is when they're really good at sales and people really like them, they want that person because it's the end of service, and they get completely booked and they don't have any more room to do sales.
He understands like actual salon business. I would say most people don't get that, but yes, most people haven't thought of that. But yes, it's absolutely a problem. Once you get too busy, you don't get a lot of people to see, so you don't sell as many memberships, right? To all of what you guys have said, at this point, what we do is we do a different tier based on membership conversion rates. So if you suck last month, you said quarterly, I do it monthly. You suck last month, you're in the low tier. And there's a high and low for every level. And guess what? If you're down here and you knock it out of the park and you're in the top basis of people who sell memberships, I'll not only bring you to the high, I'll bring you to the next level up in the advanced. So you can actually start here right out the gate. There's girls that are now lows right out the gate. And radical transparency in my company, I post everything. So every month, everybody sees how everybody does. Now my manager, who 3 weeks ago got a low, just got promoted to a manager, she's like, I want to quit. Like, why are you quitting? She's like, I don't deserve to lead. Everyone's seeing it. How are you going to publish this for everybody to see? I'm like, well, do your job. And everyone will see you doing your job. You have to lead by example, right? Like, that's fair, right? In this model, everything changes. Everything changes. So the first thing I did was I set up the manager pay. So I changed the manager pay initially. So it's basically, okay, it's off the quarterly membership sales. What happened after that was phenomenal, okay? What happened after that was I stopped getting questions about how to do things. I stopped having to check people's work on every little task. I stopped having to micromanage each salon because each person started acting like a business owner because they knew that every month if they didn't have growth at the end of the quarter, they ain't getting paid. Their alignment of growth was in line with what I needed, and now I stopped having to manage my managers so much. So that cut all my time out. That's how I can work 20, 30 hours a week, 25 hours on average, and still have a very good income. It's because the people that are in charge of things are financially aligned with what I'm aligned with. Their financial success breeds my success, and I don't have to micromanage them on the store level. Guys, like Matt, I tried everything to get my employees to start selling memberships. I'd have coaching calls. I'm a good trainer. I'd get up there, I'd teach, I'd preach, I'd give discounts, I'd give bonuses, I'd preach in front of everything I could possibly think of. Nothing worked, okay? The month before I instituted this system, we sold 190 memberships as a company, okay? With a 12% average conversion rate. And I knew that was crappy because Angelique and two of the other girls had like above 30% and 30 membership conversions. I'm like, one girl's selling like a portion of the entire company. How is that possible? She's got to be doing something that other people aren't. As soon as I implemented this, literally the next day that this gets implemented, everything changes. Rebecca, who sold 2 memberships, sold 25 the next month. She was amazing at rebooking. She just didn't care to sell memberships. She thought it was awkward, right? The next month, we sold 430 memberships. We had a 24% conversion rate. I didn't change anything besides how they're paid. And here's another thing that's amazing. I went through all the math. I took a long time on this to get it all right. I worked a financial model. The pay that I paid the next month was exactly the same, dollar for dollar, that I paid the month before. It was exactly the same. The only difference was that these employees are financially incentivized to have my best interests at heart. It doesn't matter how much you preach, how much you do, the best model you can use is a profit-based model. What do we got here, Riley? You brought pizza for the class? Oh my gosh, woo! You got, oh my gosh, that's amazing. You got pizza. Wait, where's the rest of it?
I didn't get enough.
Oh, wait a minute. You mean you only got enough pizza for the guys who got mentors?
I may have forgotten to get enough pizza for everybody.
Oh. Actually, this is just for the people that got mentors in their assignments and for us, Riley. So go ahead and dig in. Look, guys, I just want to help you guys get used to how you're going to be living the rest of your life. Like, if you don't want to get mentors and you guys want to be losers, then you're probably going to be eating like crappy PB&Js the rest of your life because your business is never going to succeed. But these guys are smart enough to get mentors. Come on in right here. Their businesses in life are going to succeed. I want them to just get used to that lifestyle. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. Come on. Come have your pizza, guys. Come on. Welcome. Not only, congratulations, 100% on the assignment. I mean, that's fantastic. Fantastic job on that assignment. Wow. Good job, guys. Hope you enjoy that pizza. Come on, put her there. Put her there. Did you guys? No, come on in. There you go. Good girl. Yes. Wow. Holy cow. Steve.
So here's the funny part about this. So I'm really feeling the same part of this because the second you threw that thing out, first person I thought of was my father-in-law. And then I sat there and I thought, nah, that's a chicken crap way. I didn't just think about a way. I'll figure it out on my own. And like that was my instant reaction. And then I spent all week just flustered. But the thing is that's who I do go to normally for mentors. But I came to this class and I instantly went back to the other side.
That's because you came to a school mentality.
Yeah.
And school says that talking to people like that is cheating.
Yeah.
You can't look at your neighbor. You can't go talk to a teacher.
My daughter came to me. She's like, Dad, what's your idea?
That's cheating, right? That's cheating. And in the real world, if that's how you act like school teaches you, huh? It's not cheating at all. It's the only way to be smart.
Yeah, it's what was the word you used on the $5 challenge? It's resourceful.
It's resourceful. Yeah.
How did you keep your managers from being ticked off once you dropped their commission?
So what I wanted to do was to create something fair. So I dropped their commission, but I told them if they manage at this level, at the level that's their standard, they should be paid exactly the same as they were before. We're not taking pay away from them. We're just realigning and allocating. There's a famous quote. I don't know who said this off the top of my head. I have to look this up. But he says, if a benevolent king takes away, the people will hate him. Okay? If a benevolent king takes away, the people will hate him. If a tyrannical dictator, a tyrannical king gives something afterwards, so he like takes everything like really tight and then starts giving, the people will love him. Okay? And that's how it is with pay. Once you give somebody pay, you can't take it away. That's the hard part. You have to set it right from the beginning, and that's scary. You can't be like, well, let's just play around with this, see if it works. You've got to get it right on the first try. That's the hard part. Okay? If you take it away, it doesn't work. So you have to either keep it the same or give them a little bit more. Go ahead.
Did you think about like just like cutting your managers off from servicing so that they would like only manage, or did you really kind of?
Yeah, I honestly, ideally would love that. I just couldn't afford it.
Okay.
Yeah, it just didn't make sense. So this is how I built this. This is our financial model for Sugar Me Wax. And I'm going to show you guys a little bit about this. Guys, this model took me a month. I was up till 5 in the morning most nights. Look at this. This took me a long time. Okay? This is not small. Every bit of this model, all of those calculations are based off one number. So if I change the number of monthly appointments that happen, that changes how many memberships I get based on the assumption of memberships. That changes how much everything else changes. So I knew that if I could get more appointments and get more memberships, everything else would change. So my initial model was based off appointments and not memberships, but then I realized, as Adam said, that the more memberships I have, those people are coming back and I don't have to do any marketing to get them. They're much more valuable than a new client that's never been in before because I have to give them a discount and everything. So even if I substituted everything for non-members, the difference between members and non-members is huge. When I did this, my pay, so if I sold that many more memberships, I sold $4,000 more in memberships the next month. $4,000, $2,000 in my pocket instantly, just from that 1 month. Now think of all the other months that's happening now because that's the standard now. It's crazy. So this is how this works. Basically, on a financial model, I like to put assumptions first. So here's my monthly appointments. Here's the average revenue per appointment. Here's my average commission rate. Taxes are here. These are all assumptions, right? You can change these blue numbers and that affects all the calculations. So I put all the assumptions first before I do any calculations. Okay? So come down here. Here's what I pay in my merchant fees, my monthly rent. Here's my utility cost, licensing fees, etc. And then I have these two numbers. And so my base management and my management, the 500, 1500, remember how we talked about that? Those two numbers are what we give we can play with those numbers, right? So we can say, hey, what if we do 1,000? What if we do 2,000? So that's what I could use to determine how much I could actually give. Because if I tried at 5,000, what's your name again?
Caleb.
Caleb, if I tried at 5,000, which would be a great number for a manager, it wouldn't make any sense, right? I couldn't make any money off that unless the numbers went up. So that's how I had to think about this. These right here and this right here are all the only things I would change, okay? And you come down here, these are general assumptions. So I'm looking at my fixed costs and everything else. You don't have to know that. But watch what happens. So this is a base case. And what a base case means is 95% of my revenue comes from service. The rest comes from product. I have 100% of revenue here, okay? And then here's my profit margin for that salon based off of that many appointments. So watch what happens. So if I change, that was like, I think, what was that? So North Scottsdale, 12,000 profit is what it says. It's not right. Let's go 500, okay? Watch what happens. That goes down to 3,500, right? And that's 300 less than before. So you see there's economies of scale. Once you hit fixed cost, everything goes up from there. I really got to get higher levels because it's such a high fixed cost operated salon. So then I could come here and I could say, okay, what happens at 600? So I add 100 to it. Oh, my profit just doubled. I added 100 appointments and my profit just doubled. That's really interesting to see. So now I know that everything is financially based off of that, Nathan.
Were you actually making this model for multiple locations? Because I've seen multiple tabs.
Correct. Every location has its own tab.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought this was like later on, but at the point that you were struggling, you had multiple locations too.
Yeah, I still had multiple locations, yeah. And to your point, guys, if you don't have any locations, you still build a financial model, but everything's based on assumptions. But because I had actual data, I could base it off of real data, and I use actual real data. If I'm dealing with employment and pay, I don't want to screw that up. Matt?
So because you covered fixed costs,
yeah.
On the final month, you had, what, a 12% increase in profit? So it was like 1.5. You had 150% growth in that 1 month.
Okay.
Does that sound about right?
Well, so basically, yeah, if I changed from 500 appointments to 600, I had a ton of growth. Okay. Yeah. Is that what you're asking?
No, I was asking because you had 190 and you went to 430.
This is for the entire salon.
150%. Oh, go ahead.
This is for the entire salon. That's not for one location.
Oh, okay.
We're looking at one location. Yeah, that makes sense. So it's not as big as you think.
So I'm just wondering like what this did for you as the business owner in terms of like where you wanted to grow, right? Cause, like,
Oh, yeah.
Like you did have all this extra income, right? Were you just like, okay, we need to get like more stores, or like what was your mindset?
My mindset.
Started churning this.
Yeah, my mindset is like I finally can take a paycheck because I've just been paying off debts this entire time, and I'm like, okay, we're actually stable enough to take a paycheck. It's been the coolest feeling having an actual paycheck for the company. Yeah, Keaton.
Yeah, as far as time goes, did you hire out on that one, or did you do it all yourself?
Did it all myself. Yeah, I did it all myself. But I had a mentor who could go back and look at this and say, you did this right. Do this wrong, differently. And to that effect, actually, a lot of this, the ideas, the inspiration, the framework for this and the base came from my mentor. It wasn't me. So I could plug in the numbers and I could get that, but I wasn't capable of thinking of this on my own. Too stupid for that. I'm the dumbest guy in the room, remember? Yes.
This is kind of a question about mentors, but when do you decide to listen to a mentor versus like go with your gut or go with something else that...
Your gut is dumb. Okay? Just assume that. Your gut is dumb.
Well, I guess on top of that, like how, I mean, obviously, even successful people
Yeah.
make mistakes.
Absolutely.
And do stupid things.
Right.
But like how, I guess how do you like determine
It's a great question.
if it's correct or not?
Right. What you're using a mentor for in the beginning is for the punch you don't see, because that's the one that always hits you. What are you missing? When you go and you build this model, take it to a mentor and say, what am I missing here? Because they're going to tell you things you didn't even think of. And that's how they look at things, right? And they've got a proven business model that works. It works for a reason. That's why we buy a Subway or a McDonald's instead of like some random burger chain or a subjoint. It's because they got a model that works. And we know it works because they've proven it over and over again. It's a scalable model, right? Yes?
So with these mentors, like, do they just help you out of the goodness of their heart, or like they have some equity?
Actually, yeah, they do. They help you out of the goodness of their heart. Huh?
They love to.
They love it because nobody does it, right? Nobody does that. Yes, great question.
I actually have about 3 mentors right now.
Fantastic.
Trying to do.
Love it.
And every single one of them came through a different contact and was like, hey, I have no idea what I'm doing. Can you like, can I ask you some questions
Yeah.
to like get my feet on the ground? And every single one of them has been like, yeah, sure. People love to talk about what they do.
Yeah, it's so crazy. You think you have to pay people for that. But like Steve said, is they love it. Like she said, they love it. What I would say is, let's say somebody's really good at like Excel. I would come in it with an emotional anchor. I would say, hey, I really suck at Excel. Like I'm like pretty much the worst person on earth at Excel. And I heard from all my friends that you're like a guru at that. Would you mind if I could take you to lunch and ask you a couple questions about Excel? Who's going to say no to that? They wouldn't be in the good place, right? They'd be in the bad place. They said no to that. People will say yes to you. That's why I love this assignment, by the way, the Interview a Millionaire, because interviewing a millionaire is going to step you out of your shoes and find mentors like this. Yeah, we'll go Stefania and then Matt.
Yeah, so aside from changing work ethic, how do you see that this model has changed your work culture at
Like night and day. They're pumped to come to work because now they're actually making more money because of it. Members always made them more money. But they had this issue of like, I can't sell a membership. But now that they see how well everybody's doing, greatness inspires greatness. And so everybody's making more money. Everybody's happy. Everyone feels elite. It's incredible. I set the bar at 23%, thinking that only a third of the people would hit it. 2/3 of my company are over 23% now. And I was like, I thought that was a high bar to reach. Yeah.
Have you been able to open like a bunch more stores since then?
I don't want to open any more stores. I actually want to make money. I just like need some profit to come in from this business, please. Yeah, so I'm finally at a point where I can take a profit. I don't want to open anymore.
Cool.
I'm doing one last one right now, and then, did you have your hand up? Yeah, you go first.
Trump's wrote Art of the Deal.
Yeah, I read it.
Do you find that the older, more successful people who are kind of in the age of giving back are easier to communicate with? The super successful are actually easier to create mentors out of rather than kind of the middle of the road, or is it all kind of the same?
That's a great question. What I find is that if you are like-minded with somebody, they're willing to become a mentor. So the issue with mentors is like, a lot of times those mentors are like not, it's like a one and done kind of thing, like the Interview a Millionaire. That's not a good mentor. The best mentor is one that you have a relationship with one-on-one, right? And so those are people that are kinda a little bit above you, a little bit more successful, but you can be a friend with, right? That's the kind of people. And here's the thing, and this is what makes good mentors. Let's say, like my buddy, he's an investment banker. I didn't go to him because he's an investment banker. I went to him because he's a good friend. And we were good friends for almost a year before he started helping me with all the stuff that he's helped me with. I just have those kind of people in my life because I make a habit. If you're successful, I want to know about you. I want to take you to lunch. I want to get to know you. And I'm not doing that to be like, to use you. I just like talking to interesting people. And if it goes absolutely nowhere, that's totally cool with me. I just like talking to interesting people and I learn from them. So those kind of relationships start to build. And the best ones are the ones where you can communicate monthly with them. Steven.
One thing I was thinking before, you said, you know, you did want to go into more stores. At a certain point, as this growth model gets more and more effective, and you start hitting 30%, 35%, 40%, at a certain point, you're going to plateau. And
Yeah.
each location is maxed.
Yeah.
You're getting a check, and at a certain point, you're going to, so two more. At a certain
Yeah.
point, you probably will modify. You will grow this into more locations.
My plan is to just franchise. I've got a replicable, scalable model, and by January of next year, I want to start franchising it. So I'll actually start selling off the stores I have, and then going nationwide with this because I think it could work really well. That's the idea. But yeah, you're absolutely right. You kind of get bored, right?
Yeah.
You already did it, so you want to start doing more. Any other thoughts on this? Okay.
Is that something where you bring your managers into it?
I don't know yet. I don't know. I really don't. I don't know how that'll look. Yeah.
Obviously, you have to read that.
I would rather have internal people helping me with the franchise than people I don't know. So absolutely. Yeah.
How long have you had Sugar Me before going profit?
How long?
How long have you had Sugar Me before pulling a check?
This is a great question. I just took a check this month for the first time in 4 years. So I took 5K. So I'm starting with 5K a month. My profit is about 15K a month. So the way that works is because right now I've been in build mode for like 4 years, and I have 8 salons. Every salon I've built has cost $100,000 to $200,000 a year. And so on a balance sheet, your balance sheet includes all your business expenses, like your like building a building. Your profit and loss doesn't include that. So at the end of the year, your profit doesn't include all the money I spent on a business, okay, for building a new salon. So if I did $180,000 building a salon and I had $180,000 in profit, I made no money for the year. But I have an asset. I bought an asset with that profit essentially, right? That's what I've been doing for the past 4 years. My business since like the first month has always been profitable. I've never had over a quarter, I've never had a negative time period. Yeah. I've had lean months, but it's finally getting to a place. So the beginning of this year, we did 6,000 in profit. We had a ton of like investments I was doing. Last quarter we did 20,000, and then this quarter we're going to do probably 50,000. And I think from now on it'll do about 50, 55,000 a quarter until the end of the year. Yeah. Does somebody have something? Yeah.
Accounting question. Are you going to keep that in the company as retained earnings, or what's your strategy for that?
Well, I want to pay off all my debts. And then, no, I'm just going to start taking cash. So I think next year I'll probably, from this business, take like 15,000 a month. It's hopefully what I'm going to do. Yeah. So hope that helps. Okay, cool. So question 1, the way we'll grade this is just if you guys got a good response. Okay? It's pretty self-explanatory. The question was like, what's wrong with the model here? If you guys got something completely off, Riley, take points off. Question 2, 25%, you get 12.5 points out of the 50. If you had a revenue-based model, a profit-based model, half credit, and a growth-based model, you get full credit. Okay? These were created by a VC. These are what the best people in the industry do. Okay? And you're graded on that scale because that's what's best. You're also graded on if you find a mentor or not. So here, if you change all your manager service commissions to lower them, if you recognize that the managers are being too much to do the same service as everybody else, you'll get 10 extra points. Okay, I think some group over here had that, right? Was it who was that? Somebody said, hey, let's reduce the manager pay of commissions. Oh, you guys, the ones that had mentors had that. Oh, yeah, that's interesting. Wonder why, huh? Sherlock here. Yeah. All right. Did you guys do that too? Oh, holy crap. Huh? Yeah. Wonder why that happened with these guys, huh? Question 3. You will get 5 points. This is new, Riley. You will get 5 points if you kept a time-based model for the employees. If you had a membership conversion rate or total lifetime memberships on one or the other, you get 75% credit. And then if you had 100% credit, if you factored in both of those things that we talked about in the case study. Okay, that's how that case study is run. Okay? I didn't give you, huh? Yeah, so like remember how like you've been here 6 months, then you bump up to the next level. You've been here a year and a half, you bump up to the next model. If it's something like that on time, then that's how you're graded. Guys, I didn't give you a lot of time on this assignment on purpose. Okay, this is a big part. It's 100 points, right? But I didn't give you a ton of time on it. Okay, these are the things to remember from this, and we're going to take a quick break after that. Okay, so either write these down or store these in your memory of some sort. Okay, align employee goals with whatever your goals are. That is the number one thing. Align your employees' incentives with whatever your incentive is. If you need more memberships, then align their profit or their growth or their income on memberships. Okay, because that's what you need. Okay, that is important. Compensation principle number 2. Profit-driven incentives minimize economies of scale. I have to drive that home because everybody who starts a business wants to give their profits away when you can easily hire an employee. It's not a good idea. Okay? Incentivizing by growth is a better tool, and that's kind of what we talked about today. If you're like, hey, yo, Brigham, but what about this? What about this? Talk to Riley. That's all I'm going to tell you. Okay? If Riley has a question, he can talk to me. If you don't think Riley's answer is fair, you can come talk to me as well. But you're going to talk to Riley first. You guys can kind of work that out. If you have it, he'll give it to you. If it's not, it's not. You know, there's not much I can do on that. So I hope that helps there. And then finally, KISS. Right? Keep it simple, stupid. Keep it simple, stupid. So I based my entire thing off of one number, membership sales. Okay? Membership growth, membership sales. The reason for that is I didn't say, hey, if you did Brazilian sales, if you did leg sales, you had different tiers, you know, and if you sell an upsell for the, no. Okay, keep it really simple for compensations because there's so many ways to be like, well, what about this? What about that in a business to try to like get around things. The more you complicate it, the more headache you're going to deal with. So make assumptions, build it off of one number if you possibly can. Okay? We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back here at 7:02. Thank you guys for the first half of the class. Thank you. Woo! I love it. Yes, thank you. Not too painful? Painful?
That was good.
Yeah?
The reason why I asked is I'm not in the class, so it doesn't matter about my grade.
Yeah.
I just don't like it. So the biggest thing that I got different from you was the tolerance to change of the employees. So for example, I did a growth-based model, but what I did was I left the time, but but the time was only qualified if you're above 20%. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then if you know your employees, like again, the thing I was wrong about knowing your employees is I've now experienced multiple teams.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. That's hard. To know your employees at 8 locations, that's hard. Even if you got a few at each, right? So that's where like that assumption was wrong. But like the time base, I said like in order for you to, if you're here 6 months, well, at any point you should be able to be above 20%. So you said 23, I said 20. I did 20 based on the
And that's
fact
okay.
of what you guys had.
Yeah.
But that way, like the idea was we only keep guys that are being profitable.
My first assumption was 20% as well, and my coach said, hey, they're going to hit that right away, go to 23%.
Because they're already doing it.
Yeah, we're
Because
close.
So many people.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. The one thing I was thinking, there was one thing that one I really liked was I didn't have the balls to lower the manager's pay. I didn't. Because I was thinking about like in my managers, by the way, the reason why I didn't bring up that this is all I do for a living is because how people view summer sales.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's so powerful because you can cut out your risk and incentivize people at the same time, and even if things go bad, you can be profitable.
Yeah.
And then, but people hate that because they don't see it from the manager.
Right.
So I'm trying not to like advertise too much that I do advertise.
Fair enough.
But when I was a kid, when I started my lighting business,
oh, that's right.
100%.
Got it.
100%.
Yeah.
So to me, that was like where I learned a lot.
Got it. Cool.
So, but yeah, no, I like that. And like, I wouldn't have had the balls to lower the management without like, I was thinking about it, like the guys I was going to call. I didn't call anyone because I was like, it's a no credit class. It's not even in it. I'm like, if I'm wrong, then like it'll be fine, But like I think the two things that I missed were again the lowering the management pay, which is the bonus point, which I thought that was a fair way to grade.
Yeah.
Making it a bonus, that's because like
it's hard to recognize
ballsy.
that. Yeah.
It's ballsy too. And then the other one was that I did a growth base, but keeping the time, assuming that too much change would cause friction. Because with you ran the numbers, and you were like, these guys, because you did it right, obviously. You don't need my approval. But like, they were going to be able to make the same amount of money with the ability to make a lot more, right? And that's the pitch that you have to make to them. But because I didn't run those exact numbers, I can't guarantee that.
You can't guarantee
so all
that.
of a sudden, the risk and uncertainty of change becomes more
Exactly.
relevant. So that's why I kept doing it.
Yeah, and I was up for multiple weeks till like way early in the morning trying to run this.
And really, like, when you're, it's your business, and like, hey, last time after we left and we were talking, as soon as you said that you were like, I want to go to a franchise model, I was like, oh, it does. It's all your risk. Because I was looking at your numbers and I'm like, that makes total sense. But what's funny is I didn't think about what you said in the car as far as going to a franchise model when I was coming up with the focus on everything I said about, like, for me, like I wrote, like, align the incentives. You just have to, you know what I mean? But I don't know, like, that would have gotten me to my assumptions a lot sooner as well. So yeah, good. I think it's great.
It's awesome.
By the way, I was pissed that I didn't ask someone just because of the pizza. So what I did was my accusation of auditing them to make it feel bad, so you give me a pizza. So I wouldn't be pissed the rest of the time.
I love it. I love it. That's awesome. How's the pizza?
Delicious.
Fantastic. So glad you guys are smart ones. Yeah, no.
What's up, boss? Good to see
ya.
you.
Good to see you.
It was funny. It was actually the guy who's auditing the class is the one who thought of reaching out to somebody else. And we're like, yeah, let's do it.
Funny, yeah.
So I was like, he's coming in clutch.
He's like, I didn't give you pizza. So he's in my other class because he couldn't come to this one.
Okay.
He was like,
where he was.
He's like, hey, there's an extra pizza. Do you mind if I take this? And I was like, yeah, go for it.
It's all good.
Yeah. You okay? Not too sad. You guys are okay? Not gonna cry tonight. Like it's gonna be okay. All right, good. Okay, you're gonna wait till tonight. Okay, perfect. Yeah, Will, what's up? Whose company?
Sugar Me. We couldn't have called them and just said, hey, how's your compensation done right now?
Why not?
If we did that and we got the exact answer, we would have been like totally chill.
I'm giving full credit for the exact answer. Yeah, it sounds like a great idea, actually. I wish I'd thought of that. It's not cheating. Like, it's not cheating to think outside of the box. Yeah.
I think we were close. We were on the right track.
Yeah.
We were almost. We had the incentive of like increasing membership sales, but not at like a growth rate.
A growth. Okay, yeah.
Because we made benchmark incentives basically, but in order for this to work, it was like based off of a point system.
Yeah.
But in order for it to work, you need to increase the benchmark based off of past.
Yeah, which is why growth is perfect because it always incentivizes. How'd you guys do?
Decent. We didn't hit the growth. Like Adam was on the growth model, but I don't know if he nailed it on the point claim.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it.
So you only have 2 people in your group now?
Yeah, well, yeah, because he's auditing, so it's just me and Mark.
You might want to find a way to like re-merge.
Yeah, we're gonna pull merge.
Yeah, do an M&A.
Let's see who's the most successful.
Yeah. Riley, can you get me water? I'm about to start.
Yes, I can.
I'm like dying right now. And oh, you used my card, so we're good on that. Cool.
And this is the receipt.
You guys do okay? Good?
There's actually, it's funny. It's ironic, all of it. There's another kid doing a 7-day fast now, too.
Oh yeah, are you on it still? How's that going?
No, I'm done.
You're
Like,
done?
I finished it on Sunday.
Holy crap, you did it.
Yeah, it totally wasn't as bad as you think it was.
Really?
Yeah, but he's on day 4, hunting. Where'd hunting go? Somewhere around here.
Yeah.
Where'd hunting go? Anyway, but he's doing it. He just hit me up in the bathroom. He's like, dude, guess what? I'm on day 4. I'm like, what the?
I hear after day 3 it starts to get easier.
After then, you're just kind of like in a steady state of ketosis.
Yeah,
So,
you're in
like,
ketosis.
The fat actually makes you, like, your mental clarity and focus is insane. Like,
Yeah.
I could stay on task for just like hours without a
I've heard that.
And it's ridiculous. Like, I totally thought, there he is, the kid in the black sweater.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's talking about it right now. But anyway, if you haven't ever tried that, I would totally try it.
And I hear it's actually good for like cancer and stuff.
It is, because cancer is like, it feeds off sugar. So when you starve carbohydrates from your body, and then it also takes care of dead cells. So the thing that was actually a Nobel Prize given to a Japanese scientist in 2016 for the topic of autophagy, which is your cells breaking down all the dead cells or incorrect cells that aren't working, one of which being cancer. So it actually eats away at cancer, reverses a lot of effects, increases life and longevity, and your cellular reproduction rate. That way, you're able to actually build muscle faster.
After
the fast. And so, anyway, crazy health benefits all the way around. I'm gonna grab some water.
Yeah, for sure. All right, cool. Okay, guys, what's up? What's up? Back to class. I gave you guys 3 extra minutes. How crazy is that? I'm feeling generous today. What's up, guys? What's up? All right, let's do this. We have 1 hour left to go over 2 hours of material. How about that? Word, huh? Word. But what's new, right? That's how class always goes for us, right? Okay, awesome stuff to talk about today. We're going to talk about due diligence. The rest of this class, I'm going to teach you guys how to do due diligence on a business, okay? So you can look at any business and say, hey, this is a good idea, this is a bad idea. What do I need to do to actually think about that business to build something, okay? You guys all ask this question. All of you do. So this is the Brigham Dallas method. I don't think anybody, like, it's not like, you know, novel or like I took this from a book. It's just what I do, okay? You can criticize it, you can attack it, you say, what about this, what about that? That's fair. There's things I'm leaving out. It's just what I do, okay? So that's how we're going to go from here in class. So the due diligence. We're going to skip this. Remember this, I love this slide. Leverage isn't as much about what the person has to gain as it is about what the other person has to lose from not working with you, okay? We were in the other class, I just threw these in here. Okay, let's get started. So you guys remember this? Dude, how many of you guys are scared? Who knows what this is? Pennywise, yeah, dude, freaking scares the crap out of me. I was jumping so much during that movie, like I was so scared. I don't know why, but horror movies I don't do very well with. We see them like once or twice a year and then I'm good, like for the rest of the year. Okay, but I always ask myself this question to start when I look at a business because I want to isolate emotional irrationality versus what I actually have as a rational fear. So I say, what would I do if I were not afraid? Okay, so by asking that question, I can identify what those fears are. What would I do if I'm not afraid? Okay, and that opens up a discussion inside my head of, okay, if I wasn't afraid, I would just pierce forward. I would do this part of the business, go through and do that. Well, what makes me afraid to do that? Well, this makes me afraid to do that. Okay, is that a rational fear? Right? So I want to identify the fears that I have because if I identify it, then I can start working on it. If you're just like, oh crap, I'm scared, it doesn't do much for us on starting a business. So the first question I ask myself at any time is I watch the movie It, I pee my pants, and once I change my underwear, I ask, what would you do if you were not afraid, okay, for starting that business? You guys good? Cool. We went through this in the, I had that entrepreneurship lecture series. So I had like a spiritual thought in there and a spiritual thought here. So I just took half of our spiritual thought, did it here, half of it there in the other class. Okay, question one. Question one that I ask is this a viable business or am I caught in the dead zone? Okay? The dead zone. The dead zone. Okay? This is not like the, what's those movies, the black and white? The Twilight Zone, yeah. It's kind of like that, actually. This is what we're talking about here. So remember this? Remember this from week one? We sell high margin products, or we sell super high massive volume of products, poor in quantity, like Sugar Me Waxes or Fat Boys Blob. What I don't want is that middle area where if I even sell a ton of that, I don't have the margins or the demand to make $1 million, or I don't have enough margin on the product to ever make a lot of money. Because you know, and I've told you this before, the amount of work that I did to start my worm company, making like $1,500 a month with all the sales of worms, is how much I'm making one blob sale, and it took exactly the same amount of time. So why spend time on a business in the dead zone when you can make a lot more money focusing on one of the two other aspects, right? So find businesses here and not businesses here. Yes?
So it's not like only go for the rich though. It's whatever idea you have, make sure it stays on one of the zones.
Yeah.
Not the dead zone.
Exactly.
Any one of them.
Yes.
Not just the rich.
This isn't better than this. You can make a lot of, Walmart is like 10 of the richest people in the world, and they sell high quantity volume, right? Sugar Me Wax is going to make me very wealthy, and it's a quantity game, right? Yes?
I would say with like the kind of motto of the class of like how to make 6 figures on 3,000, isn't that mostly probably rich because you have to invest a lot more to do like the quantity stuff, right? Or what would you say?
It's harder on this side, but I don't want to say no, it's impossible on this side either. You can definitely do this game too. You just got to be more creative. So that 3,000, by the way, I want to caveat that because we're far enough in the class to do that. That $3,000, right? So Sugar Me Wax, I'm starting to take like 5,000. I mean, the company this month's going to do like 150, 200,000 profit, but I've invested a massive amount in that, not just 3,000. But I only started with 3,000. 3,000 was enough to know if that was going to get me profitable, and then I could take on investors or debt or whatever I needed to because I've already validated the product with $3,000. Right. Once you validate, guys, it is so easy to get money because they have a proven model, right?
So I'm assuming validating is something we'll talk about too.
Yeah, we'll talk about how to validate. Okay. Well, we're not just talking about how to validate, we'll execute on validations. Guys, I know in other classes, hopefully no one from other classes will see this, but I know in other classes we talk about, hey, let's do like data samples, let's do pricing analysis, let's go through and do surveys. Guys, the only thing I care about at all to know if a business is viable is what? Money. If your business does not create sales, I don't care how good of a business you think it is, it's not a business to me. Okay? The only thing I care about is money. So if you start a product and within $500 after launching a fake website, you can't make money on that, you probably don't have a good business. And the reason for that is, you know what, that's not everybody's mantra. You're going to be like, well, what about this? This took so long to build and everything else. My mantra is fail fast. I could start 4 ideas, spend $500 on each of those, test each of those, and all 3 of them fail, and that last one hits it out of the park and makes me 6 figures, and it's enough to feel completely wealthy and live totally fine for the rest of my life. I'd rather fail fast on that than have one moonshot idea that might make it, you know, and spend all my dime and my family's dime and my VC capitalist dime on something that I don't have any idea if it's going to work or not, right? I'd rather fail fast on tiny things, and that's my style, right? So I'm not saying this is the only style. It's just this Brigham style. We cool with that? Okay, cool. Great question, by the way. So back to this question. Is the business viable, or are you caught in the dead zone? Remind me some businesses that are in the dead zone. What? MoviePass is definitely an old dead zone business. Thank you. It wasn't enough to sell to the rich, and they couldn't hit the volumes to make it successful. Right? Dead zone. What else? Blockbuster. Yeah. What about smaller things? Mom and pop stuff. Even things that are still running. Yeah. Will.
There's this commercial on the internet for Jones Barbecue and foot massage.
It's hilarious.
It's like a restaurant / spa.
Yeah, okay, terrible idea. Yeah.
I do like lawn care service businesses.
Okay, good. If I am the one doing the lawn care, that's a dead zone because I'm getting paid hourly. And I can't scale that enough to get rich. If I'm the one owning lawn care businesses, I know somebody who's made six-figure incomes from owning multiple lawn care style businesses. They did it for golf courses. So they could do high volume of that, right? But that first one, no, absolutely, you're absolutely right. What else? Give me another one. Karate dojo. He's selling his time for service money, right? That doesn't work unless you're like making a ton of money as like a dental surgeon or something, you know? It's just like, that's not really a good way to play. Step one. So that was question one. Now we're on step one. How to determine if you're in the dead zone or not. We're going to talk about assessing demand here. So the first place I like to go, and it's kind of a fun place to look, is Google Trends. So what you do, I forget that we only have 45 minutes after 7. Okay, so on Google Trends it's kind of fun. You just come here and you start putting things in. So let's start with Selena Gomez because she's literally the first thing that came to my mind. Shows how much I care about this girl. Yeah. So she got a ton of hits October 7th to 13th. What's going on here? Oh, maybe she launched an album. I don't know. It's not telling me, but yeah. Huh? That's for the past 12 months, but look at this for the past 5 years. I'm personally an Ariana Grande fan. You know who I'm a fan of? Is, what's his name? The one who dated Ariana Grande. Huh? Not Mac Miller, the guy after him. Pete Davidson. That guy is a baller. Because you see what he looks like?
He's a baller.
That dude is not, that dude's like a 2 and got a 10. He gave me faith for the rest of my life.
He's a funny guy.
Whenever, yeah, he's a funny guy. Whenever I think I'm a failure, I just remember Pete Davidson and how he bagged a 10 and got this beautiful girl, and this motivates me. I can still move on, right? This guy's amazing. I love Pete Davidson. I watched all of his skits like after that. He's really funny. Okay, so Selena Gomez is one. Let's talk about, so let me check some others. So like this could also go for products. So products that are on the rise that have trends, this is one to look at. So for example, paddle boards. Okay, come on. Sorry, I want to do 12 months. So look at this. Why is paddle boards suddenly rising here in the past 12 months? Ah, gotcha guys, nice work. So we look at this on a 5-year level. You'll notice that people have a seasonality to paddle boards. My product, Fat Boys, is the exact same way as this line right here, except the volumes are a lot smaller, right? Because not many people are looking for blobs. But look at this. Look at the #1 place for paddle boards, Hawaii, and then Idaho. What the heck? Holy cow, Idaho? You what? All right, then Florida, then Montana, then Wyoming. Let's look at ladders. Apparently, Minnesota has a high degree of needs for ladders. So does New Hampshire and Connecticut. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? It's by subregion, okay? So, okay, so here's a couple of examples. We got dog breeds, molasses. I don't know, is that a dog? Yeah. Bulldog, German Shepherd, Pitbull, not the dog, the Mr. Worldwide. He's up there as well. Fashion brands, Gucci's the #2 fashion brand. Fashion's the #1 fashion brand. Who thought? Forever 21's #3 and H&M's #4. Is that a molasses?
Yeah.
That is an ugly dog. Holy crap. Guys, my favorite actors, Stormy Daniels. Oh my gosh. All right. So this was like 2 years ago or a year and a half ago when she was in all the news. But that's, I don't know. But what you can use this for is like, if you were looking for a product like ladders, for example, it might give you related terms to ladders that you might think about that you haven't thought about yet. So you can find related terms to that. You can also find trends for how well things are doing. They do run on an absolute value, so 100 would be like maximum. So Hawaii had 100 on the rating, and then Montana had like a 60, so you could assume that it's 40% of the volume of Hawaii. Okay? That's kind of how those relative numbers work. If you want to find actual demand, let's go to that now. I love this. Who has an ads account? Do you guys have one yet? Yeah, okay, go ahead. You don't have to do this right now. If you want to, you can, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. You just go into an account, and you're going to create one for this class anyway. You'll go into an account, you go to Tools and Settings at the top. And then over here on the planning side, you got Keyword Planner. And I love this. So in Keyword Planner, you can find actual demand and cost for the clicks for that demand. So the search volume is based on total searches, not just PPC clicks, but total searches for that. And then the cost per click would be how much you would expect to pay on a PPC ad to get somebody to click on your ad. Okay? Let's look at this. So discover new keywords. So let's type in, now this is one that I've actually done with a friend of mine, close friend of mine, great guy. Got married last year, wonderful wife. Let's do dental. I said, he's my buddy in the back. So we look at dental implants. Now, if you guys know anything about dental implants, these kind of things, you do one surgery, and you're talking, you know, with like 10 surgeries, you could be upwards of $500,000, right? So one surgery is worth a lot of money. So we want to look at this on a level. We want to say, okay, dude, I'm dying here. Oh my gosh. We want to look at this and say, hey, what kind of like areas could we be competitive in, and what kind of ones can we not be competitive in, right? So we could look at, let's say, like Bismarck, North Dakota, and say how many searches are up there for this product. Is there enough demand to actually warrant putting a place up there? Because if he's looking to relocate, this is probably a great way to get market data on that, right? For an actual brick and mortar company. So, oh, you're genius, Riley. That's why I keep you, man. So right now we're looking at data for dental implants for the United States. That's 246,000 for the United States. If that were our data and we're selling a product worth $45,000, oh heck yeah, we're in the money. But we're not looking to do something for the United States because people don't fly everywhere. Well, I would fly to go see them, but not everybody would. So let's look at like Charlotte, North Carolina. So I type in Charlotte and I target that. That's the whole Charlotte region. And now look at this number. It goes from 246 down to 2,400. Okay, so they're taking 1% of that whole population. But look at these. These are other related ones. Dental implant costs, full mouth dental implants, affordable, etc. So you have all these to look at as well. And that's the trends. And it tells you what time of the year was also the highest based off of the past 12 months. And you can go to Google Trends to look at past farther than that. So you could be like, hey, maybe it's an up-and-coming surgery. I can look at Google Trends and see if people are actually interested in this or not. Super cool, right? Yeah?
You have to search by individual location, just kind of random guesses all over the place, or will Google tell you where is that?
No, you do a guess. Yeah, you could do a guess. You could pull a report if it's your AdWords and see all the locations you're targeting and which ones are doing the best. But in this case, for this, you just do a guess on that. Yeah, Riley.
One note on this. If you guys go into your own AdWords accounts,
Top button.
So these numbers right here, if you go into your AdWords account and you're like, I can't find these, where are they, what's wrong, where are they, what's wrong with them? It's not you, it's not your AdWords, well it is your AdWords account. Brigham's AdWords account is like 10 years old, how old?
Yeah.
The newer AdWords account, they just give you ranges. So this will be like 0 to 10, 10 to 100, 1,000 to 10,000.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's really frustrating.
Is that why we had that problem? Yeah, because I was like, I can't figure it out. I don't know why yours isn't working like that.
I'm just still logging into yours, so I haven't logged out.
Smart, that's what I would do. Yeah. Well, now you know what you need to do. Find somebody with an antiquated AdWords account because they've been around too long. 10 years in this business is like 100 in most businesses, how much everything changes. Okay, so then you can look at the costs. And is it reasonable to assume for a service doing $45,000, if I'm paying $3 to $9 to get a click, I could probably make money on that, right? That's the kind of analysis that we want to start making for conversions for the businesses you guys are looking at. So we could look at different areas And I think we actually decided on a place to live based off that, right? So he's looking at it, he's going, hey, these competitors in this area, maybe there's like 2 or 3 competitors here, too saturated for the amount of volume. But then he's looking at it, it's like, hey, this has 10 times the volume and only 3 competitors. Now he can make an educated decision. You guys follow me? This works for all kinds of stuff. So, for example, let's say satin smooth wax. That's the type of wax I use. Okay, in Charlotte, they don't have a lot of searches, but what if I do in the United States? So in the United States, there's 2,000 searches monthly. Now, if I add in all the different types of wax from satin smooth wax, it's really high. And look, the cost per click can be as low as 30 cents. So I'm looking at that, I'm saying, hey, maybe I can make money here. And I have actual calculations to show you to see how that all works. We'll go through that another day. I call it the James Bond method. And but look, the volume's not that high. So if this product's only doing $100 to $200 an order, that's not going to work. So you have to kind of look at that level and see what works for you. If I were not selling wax to myself, because I buy like 4 grand of wax for myself, I wouldn't keep the business. It's not a great business with those kind of numbers. So I sell like 4,000 myself, and I sell like 16,000 online a month. It's about 20,000 a month of wax sales. It's like, it's okay, but it's not a great business. What about Garcinia Cambogia? You guys know what that is? Cambodia, they spelled that wrong. Hold on. Cambodia, no, they spelled that wrong. Hold on. Let's see how you actually spell this. Cambodia. Now, it's not a green and wax, this is a diet pill. Now, that's a high amount, right? Whatever the high diet trend fat is, you can see it on here and see what those costs are. Diet pills sell really well online. Diet pills is one of the biggest industries online. Diet pills, muscle pills, business stuff, like starting a new business, kind of mentorship, coaching. Those are like one of the 3 biggest categories. Okay, so this is interesting. Check this out. So here's Google Trends. Here's Bitcoin. You guys, anyone play Bitcoin when it was up? You tried something? Did you make any money? No. You were this guy, huh? Wait, you were this guy, huh?
No, I got it. I got a little before, and then I forgot about it, and then it went up and back.
Oh my God. You forgot about this?
I never have taken the money.
Holy crap.
I didn't put very much in it, so it was...
Still, like you could have made a ton of money. Holy cow. Okay, that's funny. I'm sorry, buddy. I shouldn't make fun of you. I feel bad for you. Check this out, guys. This is Google Trends. Literally follows identical. This path is right before the apex of that. Isn't that crazy? Like literally follows exactly because it was a fad, right? It's a trendy fad. So it makes sense that Google Trends would have almost identical numbers on that. Boy, if I had $100 back then, what I would have made. Okay, so that's step 1. You're assessing the demand of something. Step 2 is we're going to build a financial model in Excel. I'm not going to teach you how to do that. Okay, what I'd like you to do is on a models in Excel, what you want to do is you want to have one number that spits out a profit. Okay, so everything else is assumptions and calculations. That's the idea. So you build assumptions like if I have 100 waxing comes in, this many buy a membership, this is the amount of revenue from that, this amount of products being bought. So you have these assumptions. And then you also have assumptions like these are my fixed costs, etc. And at the end of the whole thing is an equation that says, okay, based on this number of appointments, let's for example, this number of sales, this number of leads, I get this much profit. Okay, that's the financial model. You're great at those, by the way. Yeah, he's phenomenal. He's done some great models for some of the stuff we've done. Determine break-even quantities. Why do you think you want to know break-even numbers off of the model? Right, because the whole question is, what would I do if I wasn't afraid? So I want to know how much should I need to invest? Is it reasonable and logical to assume that I could put enough work into this to make it work based off of the break-even point? That's like rock bottom. Am I going to do at least that much? Because if I know that number, I feel a lot more confident doing a business if I know I can like hit that number, or I could do a lot better than that number. So determining break-even point is like crucial as a starting point. Okay? And then finally, run an EV calculation. How you guys feeling? Okay, I'm about to show you something called an expected value calculation. Adam loves this. He geeks out on this kind of stuff. Pull his glasses up a little bit on that. Oh yeah, he's going to love this stuff. But for most of you, it's going to be incredibly dry. Okay? But for me, I think this is phenomenally important to understanding if a business is going to work. Okay, so we have 15 minutes left. Push through the dryness. We can make this, okay? Don't fall asleep. Okay, it's not going to be fun like getting pizza and all this. We got this, right? Just warning ahead of time. Okay, here we go. Expected value calculations. The idea is if you have enough of these calculations that are positive, your business is likely to succeed. Okay? The more positive the number on this, the more likely your business is to succeed. So let's take a look. The way that the expected value calculation works, and by the way, you can do this for anything, okay, is the probability of being right. Okay? So how likely am I that my assumption is right? How confident are you in your assumption? Multiplied by the reward that you would get if this business actually succeeds, or this idea or whatever the decision is actually succeeds, minus the probability of being wrong times the penalty for being wrong. Okay? Now, who's my accounting major in here? Get down here. Colton?
Caleb.
Caleb. It's the guy I told you guys in the beginning. You want to be with an accountant student. And this guy got an A on the project. I'm not lying, guys. I'm not lying. That's who I always find for my group projects. All right, Caleb. Here we go. If my probability of being right is 70%, what is my probability of being wrong? 30. Good job. Good job. You pass accounting. I had a guy get that wrong once. He was an accounting student. I was like, dang, man. I don't know what to tell you. You're in the wrong school. All right, so I think he's just nervous in front of everybody, to be fair. All right, so let's take a look at how this actually works in theory, okay? So let's look at Sugar Me Wax. So here's an EV calculation. A new salon suite. So these are the one-room studios. They cost me $8,500 to build. My rent is about $800 a month. I've done 5 of these already, and the average profit after they hit maturation is about $3,000 a month, okay? And then I turn them into salons, and I go back in debt, and hopefully in like a year or two, they go, oh my gosh. But if I just did salon studios, man, phenomenal. $3,000 a month per, do 10 of those, make $30K a month, you're killing it. I've had 5 out of 5 success rate, and a new salon suite costs $8,500. So go ahead with your partner, take 2 or 3 minutes to work out an EV calculation. Okay? Yes, Matt.
Why would you have to work out if you said so your success rate is 5 out of 5?
That's up for the past ones. That doesn't mean that this one's success rate is going to be 100%. I don't know. It's still a business. You got to determine that. That's part of the question. Yeah. This is a yearly. I'm going to use a yearly number. Yeah. Oh.
To give you an idea.
What?
Because I'm a math brain. For your compensation structure, like figuring out what it should be, you had your model where you're plugging in one number and you're doing a bunch of calculations and spitting out your profit number, right?
Yeah.
But baked into all of your assumptions, in between the one number are a whole bunch of assumptions. And some of those assumptions are other numbers that you could tweak.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So in typical math, we always talk about like f of x. So like y is a function of x, right? When you move on to multivariable calculus and other degrees of freedom, you stop saying y, or like f of x, and you start saying f of x, y, z, like, and there are all these other variables that come into it. And you can actually create a multi-dimensional function, set some limits on it, and then optimize it.
Yeah. For businesses?
Well, you could do that with a compensation structure. As long as you made some assumptions. I know this is like...
What about KISS?
I know. But if you just pick like, what are the 2 variables that I want to change?
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta finish this. All right, guys, come back up here. You guys are good. I don't have a ton of time. All right, come back up. Does this business work? Yeah, like pretty well, right? Yeah. If your number is like 200 or 300 bucks on the EV calculation, be concerned, right? You want this to be high so you can have a degree of error, and you don't want to make 200 or 300 bucks anyway, right? So here's what this looks like for me. I assumed that at $36,000 per year profit, I assumed an 85% probability. What did you guys assume? Okay, yeah, I want to go a little lower just because, yeah, because I don't know, right? Like it's a brand new salon. Maybe my esthetician screws me over and has a lawsuit. I don't know, whatever. Things can happen, right? It's a business. So I take that level and I minus the build-out cost plus worst case scenario, all my money for the year. $9,600 is 12 months rent. Let's say like I had a contract and then I just could never use it. That's like dead worst case scenario. And you might come back and say, well, you could sell some of your stuff and you could have some rent that's like a prorated and you might not have to pay for it all. You're very much right. And you can bake that into your assumption however you want. Okay? I'm just being ultra conservative because again, I want to answer the question, what would you do if you weren't afraid? Right? I want to answer that question. I want to take away these irrational fears. And so I answer that by having real calculations to support my data. And then I multiply that by 15% because as Caleb said, 85%, the other number has to be 15 because that's your probability of failure. When I take this minus this, I get this really freaking big number. And the idea of that number is it's really big. Okay, that's really nice. I like big numbers here. And so then I can look at this and say, hey, if my probability is this much, what if I did 10 of these at once? Well, maybe this number goes down to like 50%. All right, well, what does that look like? I still 10x that. Maybe that's really worth it to instead of doing 1, I start doing 10. How many could I do at once and still scale and still get the same results as everybody else? Go ahead, Diana. That's my assumption for the probability of success. It's a total assumption.
Okay,
Yeah, that's the hard part to figure that out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a related question, but how did this look for like salon number 1? Like when you didn't have a 5 out of 5 success rate? Like
That number would be a lot lower.
Okay.
Yeah, that number's a lot lower. But this number was overconfident. I thought I was going to make $5,000 a month off each salon. No, it wasn't. Yeah.
So why do you do the flagships at all? Why not just build a whole army of studios?
No, that's exactly what I'm doing, or I was doing. So last year I looked at this, I did this calculation, and I asked myself, always ask yourself this question, like, where do I want to be in 10 years? How do I do that in 1 year? Because it gets your mind thinking differently. Well, what if I opened up 10 salons at once? They only cost $8,500 each. It only take like 50 grand. I can make a ton of profit off of that. So that was my goal. I went from like 4 salons last year to 8. Okay, and then in each of those salons, I put a second room in there, and I started building that. So now I have 2 rooms, and now I'm making $5,000 or $6,000 on each is the idea. They're still in maturation phase, so they're not there yet, but that's what the scale is happening. Then somebody came along and said, hey, here's a build out for a flagship. It usually costs $150,000. I'll put $85,000 in because I'm opening a brand new place, and you only have to pay like $40,000 for it. Then the numbers for the new studio flagship made sense. So I'm building 1 more flagship and I'm done, and I'm never building a flagship again. Yeah, and I'm just going to franchise a studio model because it's so freaking profitable. That makes sense? Do you guys see how you could apply this to your own businesses? Okay. If you do enough of these calculations, if enough of these calculations end up positive, you make money. Okay. When you build business ideas, run the EV calculation because that will tell you if you're going to be profitable. And finally, oh yes, go ahead, Beth.
I was just going to say, like, what's your threshold? Like, you personally, like, for example, if it was like 50-50, would you be like, nah, but it had like a huge upside?
This is great.
Or like, because, like, I don't know, I'm just wondering.
Okay, let's talk about this, okay? Let's look at a threshold like, that's a great idea. I think it's aside, take politics aside, okay? I don't care what you guys believe. I honestly don't. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to think less of you or more of you, no matter what you believe. Take politics aside. But look at this from a EV calculation, okay? So at the what happened when Trump got elected to the stock market? Went up a lot. No, it didn't go down. It went way up. What are you talking about? Yeah, no, with the tariffs, yeah, a lot of things changed. But when he got elected, we went up a lot. And honestly, it's been going up really well since he's been elected. So what does that tell you about investors? What do they think about Trump? They're super confident. Now, all of their investment has already happened in him, right? So if he gets reelected, what do you think is going to happen to the stock market? It's going to, probably flatten. So look at this. if I were going to invest, okay, but looking on the other side. So what happens if if a Democrat gets elected? It's going to tank, right? Based off past trends, it's highly likely to tank. So if I look at this from a shorting perspective, okay, and I do an EV calculation on shorting it. Shorting is when you make profit when it goes down. Look at this. If I put, let's just say a number, oh my gosh. Okay, so if I put, let's just say a number, we'll call it X, it doesn't really matter, into it. If I'm wrong on this risk and like he gets reelected, let's say it's a 50-50 chance of getting reelected, so probabilities are 50-50. If I'm wrong and it goes up maybe 10%, there's no market correction at all, I lost 10%, okay? On the other side, if I'm right and a Democrat gets elected and that goes down 25%, well, that's a really good return for a very minimal risk, right? On a 50-50 output on something like that. So it doesn't, so there are times when sometimes like the better decision is the home run decision. Where like, hey, if I actually make this work, I'll make a ton of money, even though I'll lose quite a bit if it doesn't work out. There's sometimes where that risk reward is so high that it's okay, even though your probability of success is low. Right? And that's where the mental thing doesn't happen. That's why this calculation is so good, because most people don't think, hey, if I had a 20% chance of success, but I have 5x return on it, is it actually worth it? Well, according to this, yes, it is, because, or sorry, if I had a 10x return, you know, instead of a 5x return, because of the probability that comes into play here. And you don't think rationally like that. Does that make sense, Seth? Yeah. So yeah, to answer your question, it literally depends on both the probability as well as the reward. So finally, can you legitimately compete? We want to be in the top 3, right? We want to be in the top 3, always. We don't want to be like Aeropostale selling crappy clothes for like crappy amounts of money. You know, they're going out of business right now, right? We want to be H&M. And if you can't be H&M, don't compete in the market, right? We talked about that first day of class. Don't compete in a market that you can't play in, legitimately play in, all right? You're not McDonald's. Don't try to beat McDonald's or be McDonald's. Okay? Beat or beat. Sorry if that wasn't clear.
Quick question. How long do you take until you can be like, hey, look, I can legitimately compete? Because like starting off and like building the business, obviously like you're not going to be in the top 3.
Yeah.
So like what's the time frame that you give yourself to be like, hey, look, by this time I want to be in the top 3?
Yeah, it's a good question. I wouldn't enter a market if I didn't feasibly think that I could compete in the top 3. I look at, yeah, just starting it. Yeah. Okay. If I'm like, I can't be in the top 3, I don't have some kind of competitive edge. Like there's software people have been working on this for a long time. I'm not going to be able to catch up to that. Okay. Right? Yes. Quick.
Now, are you talking about the top 3 that are in your area? Because like in Utah, let's say.
I'm going to stop you right there. Top 3, because we don't have a lot of time. Top 3 in the marketing channel that you're trying to compete in. So whether that's Google, Facebook, Etsy, Amazon, whatever, top 3. Or also the product itself. So if your case that you're talking about is geographic location, if you're a gas station, top 3 could be the corner of the street. Okay? So it's based off the channel that you're competing in, and that could be geographic or online, and it's based on the product itself. Your product needs to be the top 3 within that channel. Okay? Next step. Okay? Step 3, I need you guys to read every single review you possibly can on this business. Okay? That's how you do market research. You go out and you look at all your competitors and everything they're saying. For Sugar Me Wax, I read all my Yelp reviews, and everything said, I made like a review cloud, like a word cloud. You guys know what those are? Kind of big words for, everyone kept saying comfortable. She makes me feel comfortable. Or for the opposite side, she missed hair. She burned me or something like that. So I knew the user experience was super important, and I knew that what they wanted more than anything else was to feel comfortable. So I designed my brand around somebody feeling comfortable. And all it took was 4 hours of reading every review in Phoenix on Yelp. It's time well spent. Guys, here's some fun reviews. Ready? Yelp reviews. The entire kitchen and waitstaff saw an ice cream truck and ran outside, leaving me alone in the restaurant. 10 minutes later, they all came back with ice cream cones. I literally cannot believe this just happened. Here's a review for Walmart. Denise ruined everything. And then the last one is like a hair removal product. Oh, this one's kind of vulgar. Makes my farts sound louder. The hair must have acted as an interlocking silencer. I give this one a big thumbs up. You can learn a lot from reviews, guys. You can learn a lot. If you guys don't know what a SWOT analysis is, I'm going really fast. I know you guys got to go. A SWOT analysis, okay, it looks like this. I love these things because it forces you to look at competitors. If you don't know what it is, just YouTube it, take a look, and it'll tell you all about your competitors. But you're going to look at strengths and weaknesses. The important thing is this is internal. This is your strength, your weaknesses. I'm really good at making women feel comfortable. I'm really bad at missing hair because I have 2200 vision. Okay? That's strengths and weaknesses. These are external, so these are looking at your competitors. These are opportunities and threats. Okay? Our prices are really good. The threat is we're so new in the market's already taken by people who have long-term relationships, so that might be a problem. So you're looking at external and internal. This also allows you to do a pricing analysis to see where you compete. You have to look at your competitors to see what's important to your clientele. Test for under 3,000. Guys, I'm rolling. Stay with me here. I told you I needed 15 minutes. Stay the freak with me, okay? This is how a business cycle works. You have customer pain. We talked about, hey, Ben, right? We talked about this, right? Customer pain, product idea. How do you test for $3,000? The way to do it is skip everything in gray. Okay? Skip everything in gray. That's how you do that. Okay? You have a product idea, you build a website, you advertise for it, and see if you get real sales, because that's the only thing I care about. And then you're like shaking your head. You're like, what? Like, how do you do that? Well, no, the guy behind you. He's like, but what about selling them a product? You just refund them. I'm sorry, the product's not in stock yet. We're going to have it in 10 months when I actually go to build it. So just be patient. We'll give you a coupon code when it comes, but here's your money back. Thanks for validating the idea. Okay? You can do that for $500. You don't have to spend $100,000 in 9 months of your life creating a product. Okay? I would rather you fail fast with 4 ideas like we talked about before, and one of them actually work. You spent $2,000 on all 4 of those ideas, and at the end of the day, you have a business that actually makes money. Okay? You had 3 crappy ideas, 1 good idea, and then you have something that actually is cool. Okay? I'd rather you do that than to spend 9 months of your life on a crappy product that never was going to make it in the first place. Okay? So you fail fast by testing for under $3,000. And finally, Yoda says, a mentor you must find. Ha 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 ha. Thank you guys for class today. I appreciate everything. You guys are awesome. Thank you. I will see you guys next week. Interview a millionaire, not due next week. And we're doing the other case study that I forgot. Oh yeah, $5 case study. $5 case study. Thank you so much.